Hey everyone, we are live. Arsenal Fan Circle here. Cade Folcha Cordia. Everybody is welcome here. Pull up a chair to the circle, and we have something to talk about today. Not good. Execution. That's the name of the game for me. I think execution and game management. And we didn't do. We failed in one tiny aspect of the game, but it was a very crucial aspect of the game. And in what happened yesterday against Burnley. So, introductions first. Sam and Tony down bottom. Thanks for joining.
Good evening.
Gary, thanks for joining, Gary.
Hello.
And of course, Matt, your second or third appearance now, Matt.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and thanks for having me on again. Thank you.
All right, so since you're the newest face here, Matt, kick us off. Let's talk about the incident that was conceding that goal. What we're starting to call Uncle Granite, one of the sons of Arteta.
Yeah, it's so disappointing. There's lots to talk about there, isn't there? I know Xhaka's understandably been put in the spotlight for getting that wrong. Personally, yeah, he does absolutely have blame to take for that because he didn't make the right decision and do the right thing. But he did have his back to goal. Leno could see what's going on around him, and you have to use a bit of common sense there and just get it out. Clear your lines, get it out. I know that we like to build from the back, and that's something that Arteta has certainly instructed us as a team to do. But I think you have to pick your times and your moments when you do that, and when it's not safe to do it, you just clear the ball. So I do put a level of blame on Leno for that. And I know some people won't agree with me there, but it's absolutely ridiculous again that we concede another really unnecessary goal that costs us another game. You know, it's so frustrating, and I think I saw a stat here that were it not for individual errors, we would have had 12 points out of our last 4 games, and we've taken 4. You know, and we'd be set. If that was the case, we'd be sat in 5th or 6th now.
Yeah, I saw that same stat, and I take a little bit of issue with 12 points. We would definitely have more points than we do now. We didn't score against Aston Villa, and Wolves did score a great goal against us. So we probably could have picked up a point against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Debatable if we'd have scored against Aston Villa that day. So that's two extra points, right, Matt?
Yeah, I think again because you just don't know what would have happened with obviously what happened after that. Again with Wolves, errors and sendings off and things like that. We started very brightly against Wolves, and I think we probably would have gone on to win that game. I think had we had everyone available and on the pitch. But it's just so frustrating to see the same things happening week in, week out with mistakes. Like we said, Burnley were there for the taking. They didn't pose us really any problems. They had a couple of things coming forward, but they were not a difficult side to beat this weekend. And we had enough chances. And I know it's been said widely. We're not clinical enough. We make stupid mistakes and we don't finish our dinner.
Well, let's all Arsenal fans want to hone in on what happened with Granit Xhaka. I mean, I think when the ball comes to you, you're personally responsible with the ball yourself. I'm putting 100% blame on Granit Xhaka. Every professional in all of the leagues all over the world can lift the ball over the head of a player. First of all, and second of all, you need to take – it's one-touch football when you're playing out from the back. If you take a touch, you're allowing the press to come in on you harder and harder. And he had easy options if he did it first time. He had Chambers, a far right wing. He had David Luiz, even wasn't caught off at that point if he was not taking a first touch. And then obviously he could go back to Bernd Leno or Pablo Mari as well. He's a left-sided player. He could have turned around to his left and played Mari in as well. So lots of options, and it's just disgusting ball that he played with his right foot. Gary, what's your take on it?
Yeah, well, it's one of these things where we know, as I said, it's kind of like we've got a shelf life with the way our players play. Like they might have some good games, but eventually they're going to go stale, or they're going to, things are going to get a little bit rotten the longer you keep them out there. And that's what we saw, right? we saw it today. Xhaka has shown consistently that something will happen the longer he's out there. I mean, you can kind of go through this whole season as probably a game where he made a really bad tackle, or he got sent off, or merely a mistake. So it's like Luis, same thing. He's going to make a mistake. How long he's out there, it's going to happen, and this is what happened. I mean, during I guess for those who heard me yesterday during the watch along, 10 minutes left in the half, I was like, oh, good. So let's just try and get that. Let's just try and get that second goal. Thinking, what? Let me not wait till 5 minutes and say it, because usually that's when we make a mistake, is 5 minutes. So I said, all right, I'll try 10 minutes, see if we can get something out of this half, another goal out of this half, and maybe go into halftime feeling good about ourselves. 4 minutes later, that happens, and you're like, are you serious? I mean, he used him as a pinball, right? And just bounced right off of him. He barely even had to move. I mean, it was. You couldn't have planned that any better than but that's yeah, you know what, but if you look, that's how we play though. So all of a sudden, because that one doesn't work, because the player makes a really bad pass, all of a sudden it's a bad play. But we scored our goal doing exactly the same thing. Yes, different players, but that's the way we play. You got to make sound. You have to know your limitations, right? He knows, what he can and cannot do at that point. They were showing, like he was asking for the ball to come to his left, so that because there was open space there, and looked like Leno did not pass it to that wide open space that he had there. But I think he was still fearful of Wood, who was still sitting there. So he made a pass closer to the body, but he had multiple opportunities to figure out where to go with that ball. He had multiple. He put his head down. He didn't even. I like to think he knew what he was doing at that point, but he put his head down and just tried to boot it. And I don't think, if that's as strong as his right foot is, then I think that's that's a problem, because it didn't seem like he put too much into that. He could have hit it back to, like you said, hit it back to the goalie and then scream at him and say, "Don't put me in that situation again," right? He could have said that. Yeah. He could have went, all the way to the other side, to the left side of the field. He could have just spun and knocked it clear out of bounds. Either way, he had multiple opportunities to do something, which we would have screamed at him for kicking it out of bounds, but not when we saw, this is the result of what we saw, right? When he tried to do something, why was he trying to go over the head of that player as opposed to all the way to the sideline, Because that's where the player was. The player would have come right there if he would have been able to get behind Woods, and the player would have, I think it was Luis sitting there. So I think he made a bad decision at that point, and it definitely hurts.
I'm glad, Gary, that you're kind of we have people ask about the style of play. What's your style of play? Well, Arteta's trying to institute a style of play. This is part of it, and we're going to have growing pains with players that maybe next year he's not going to be part of the first team. He's going to be a squad player, and maybe he doesn't want to be a squad player, and maybe he's going to leave in the summertime. But our number one,
40 million euros for him last year.
Yeah, and our number one priority, and Sam is taking all of this in. You'll get your turn, Sam.
Yeah.
But our number one priority, Gary, is to get a partner for Partey, so that a player like Granit Xhaka will be on a subs bench for the majority of the games next season.
Yeah, and like you said, I think the other part to that is I would like to know if some of the other players can do a job. I don't feel like they all get the same confidence from their manager. I don't think what Xhaka gets from his manager and what a Pepe and what a Ceballos and all these other players get in terms of the confidence. I don't know anything, but I just feel like I know when he talks about Xhaka and when he talks about Pepe, it's totally different to me, right? It feels like Pepe is going to have to do so much more than Xhaka does, even though Xhaka consistently makes errors. Pepe is doing better now, and it still feels like he's just still not enough, right? So we always ask for him. So it's like, so what? How many more things does he have to do before, It's like, you know what, you need to sit down a little bit. Maybe we'll go somewhere, go a different direction. But
Yeah, we're
You know.
definitely going to have split opinions on this issue. Warren said both at fault, Leno and Xhaka, Rosie, Bollocking, reorganized. And that's definitely, football is a game made up of tiny, tiny passages of plays that are broken up by corners and throws and free kicks. And
I would have liked to.
definitely-
I would have liked to see what happens if Jacques would have booted that ball out of bounds and then screamed at Leno, like, "What are you doing? You put us in a bad situation. Not me, us, right? Because now you're basically putting your goal at threat by putting this ball on. Yeah, because that would mean to me that would be the way you go as a leader, right? You're like, no, don't do this to us because we don't need it. You know, it's 5 minutes to go in the half. Come on.
It's just poor decision making, right? I mean, in my private life, I work within health and safety, right? And risk management is something I do every day. If you don't have to put yourself in a position where that risk exists, you don't do it. You avoid doing the task, etc., etc. If he doesn't have to make that pass to Xhaka and put him in a position where there is that risk there for him to cock up and make that mistake, you just don't do it. You get it clear. There's no need to put him in that position. I think the one thing that does caveat that a little bit is that people have said that he was calling for the ball. And I think that's a little bit different. I think if he's called for the ball and he has put Leno in that two minds, or okay, he's called for the ball and I'm going to pass it. But in my mind, that should just be cleared every day of the week. Don't create a risk that should be there.
All right, we have a full house here. Gunnan News is in, I hear. In the dark, like a lot of Arsenal fans right now.
Does he have a red? Does he have a red room? Because we get the blue room.
No.
Do we get a red room on, or is that not even? We don't even use that unless it's for those are the special occasions. Oh, we got the green. We got the green room.
Look at that! Look at that! That's amazing. I don't even know where you get that pen. Look at that.
No, it's quite easy to obtain. Just a piece of material stuck around the wall.
Like your room is green.
Put the images in the background.
The homemade green screen.
He's got the setup.
So, Tony, as Footballer Brownie said here, there's a reason why players shout man on or turn to their fellow professionals. It is communication is key. The other thing is we talk about the sons of Arteta on this channel quite a lot. You've got HP Sauce because he loves Hector Bellerin. Papa William is one of his favorites, and Eddie the Kid is another one. He hasn't been in the team lately, but Uncle Granite is a big favorite of Arteta, Tony, because he does the things that Arteta
He's a good cheerleader, right?
He came to that ball, Tony, like an eager puppy. He wanted to get that ball. He wanted to play it, but he didn't have the tools in his locker after taking the first touch to lift that ball over Woods.
Yep. Just goes back to his history against Burnley, 2 red cards. He's just always error prone to begin with. But I'm not going to put too much blame on Leno, but I don't think Leno ever really commands and communicates with the troops enough. He's a great shot stopper, but that other part of his game still got to develop. But
yeah,
it's all on the manager putting in players that you can't trust, that has a fuck up in him. He's a fuck up. He puts him in there. He loves the wrong players. He builds up the wrong players. You hear him talking about Willian and Luis and Zaka. You don't hear him talking about Saka or Martinelli or Pepe or any of the young players that need build up. He builds up the players that shouldn't need build up, that he says are leaders. I don't know why he's always speaking about them all the time.
As Warren says, guys, we're after 28 games, only 4 points above Crystal Palace. At what point is that acceptable? And we've gone 10 minutes. I've given Sam a lot of time to soak up what we've had to say. And Warren also said 3 things that confuse him about Arteta is his lineup, his transfer dealings, and substitution. So, Sam, have your say.
I'm going to start with Xhaka. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with that idiot.
Why? What did he do?
First of all,
tell us what he did wrong.
First of all, Leno, you can't blame Leno at all. That's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous blaming Leno. I've looked it over loads of times. I've looked at a proper analysis today earlier done by someone else online. And, Leno, first of all, when Leno has that ball, there's actually quite a lot of space around him. It looks worse than what it is from the camera angle that the TV cameras are using. It looks a lot worse because of the perspective from the camera angle. When you look from other angles, you can see there's actually quite a lot of space around him. It doesn't look on top of him as you think it is. That's the number one thing. Second of all, you talk about risk management. I also work within health and safety. I understand exactly what you're saying completely, but the way we playing out from the back, which is our instructed way of playing with Arteta, and there are many. That's a whole different discussion. We can talk a lot about whether that's right or wrong, but that is the way a lot of teams play nowadays to create an advantage, an overlapping advantage further up the field.
Beat the press.
And to try and invite the press, and there's loads of reasons, but that is the way Arteta wants us to play. That is a set instruction to play, and it wasn't. When Leno has that ball, it's not enough of an emergency for him to have to acceptably say you have to play that ball out. No, you don't. That's the first point. And just to follow up on the risk thing, we accept a high level of risk by playing that way. That is the thing. There's always risk involved in playing that way. We've fucked up a few times before. We've become a lot better at it. At playing, I mean, we're a lot better playing out of from the back than we used to be. We're getting more and more used to it and getting better at it. Well, I would say this season, especially the last half of the season, we've been a lot better at it than we were when we first started, when everyone was like, screaming every time we had the ball at the back there. There was always mistakes being made. We're a lot better now. But that's it. That's the level of risk we accept playing that way. So we're always going to have some risk involved there, unfortunately, because it's a high risk way of playing. That being said, Xhaka calls for the ball. He's a professional football player. He calls for the ball. He should know, as a professional football player, this talk about he doesn't have eyes in the back of his head. Sorry, if you're a Hackney Marshes Sunday player, you don't have eyes in the back of your head, right? That's acceptable. You're not a good football player. But if you're a professional football player, you need to be aware of your surroundings before you get the ball. That is what you're taught from a very early age in a football academy. You're taught to be aware of your surroundings. Professionals at high level are aware of their surroundings. So, first of all, when he calls that ball, he should be aware and ready to take that ball. That is the first thing. Then, when you analyze it further, the second mistake he makes, I mean, the first mistake you can say is maybe by him not being aware, but he should be, but maybe he's not aware, but he should. The point is he should be. He's called for the ball, and then his second mistake is to take a touch, and that touch is quite a long touch as well, that puts him into a danger area. That touch pushes the ball over into the danger area and creates a lot more pressure. What he should have done, he could have used his first touch to just play it diagonally past Woods. That would have been the easiest way out. He could have if he felt the pressure was there, which he obviously didn't because he took the touch. But if he felt the pressure was there on him quicker than he thought with someone behind him, he could have just booted it out well over everyone's head and just booted out across the sideline. There's actually, I'm not going to go through it all now, but there's actually 6 different options Xhaka could have taken. One of them also passing back to Leno because there was more space and time there than what you see on the television cameras. When you see from other angles, you see there is. This is, of course, the benefit of hindsight. But the whole point is when you see from Leno's perspective, he has the time, he has the space, he passes it to Xhaka, who actually called for it. Then Xhaka does the wrong thing of first taking a touch in towards him, which is a definite no-no when you've got 2 players around you, and then. The way he hits the ball, of course, is where the fuck-up is. The fuck-up is the way he hits the ball. He completely mishits it. I think he's trying to chip it over or trying to go diagonally in between. I'm not quite sure. But the way he hits it, he fucks it up, and he then hits the ball at Woods. That's the fuck-up. So, and unfortunately for Xhaka, this is something he's done this is the 8th time he's done that now. He's had a mistake that's led directly to a goal-scoring opportunity. It's happened 8 times since he started for Arsenal Football Club. It's the most out of any midfield player in the Premier League ever has ever had. No one's had that statistic. So, again, this comes back to why is he playing and all that's a whole other discussion on top of it. But this is when you analyse it properly, this is 100% Xhaka's fault. Leno, you can understand why Leno, first of all, didn't boot the ball out and why he played it to Xhaka because it was called. So for me, it's 100% Xhaka's fault. You can't really blame Leno. We're instructed to play out from the back. 99% of the time, playing out the back, the way we do it now works. So that's just the way it is. Xhaka just completely fucked it up. I just want to get that out of the way because for me, there's just no way. There's no way you can blame Leno for any of that when you get to look at it properly. Anyway, so
let me just clarify this for Warren. So Warren was talking about the Premier League, how it makes his life really, really difficult in how he's refereeing. I wanted to ask Warren: is it two different games? Is the way things are officiated in the Premier League totally different to the way they're officiated that you're doing, Warren? I just want to know that because Sam said it's totally different, and Hackney Marshes is not different because you need to look around. You're going to get hurt if you don't look. If you don't.
No, I'm saying the level. I'm saying the level of player. You know, a player at Hackney Marshes normally he's not at that level where he's really aware of what's around him. You know, I'm saying a professional footballer it should be aware of what is around, a lot more aware of what is around him. And Brownie, I love Brownie. He's great. He's in the chat today as usual. Brownie's a great guy. You know, he's fantastic. But Brownie, mate, you're just talking shit today, mate. I mean, if you actually go and look at a proper analysis, Brownie, please go and look at a proper analysis. There's a few of them online today on YouTube. You can see from Leno's perspective when they change the camera angle to his perspective behind the goal. You can see he's not under that amount of pressure as you think he is. When you see it from the television, the broadcast angle, it looks a lot worse because the perspective shows the players closer together.
Yeah.
So it looks bad from that angle. So I can understand anybody who's just looked at the broadcast angle and not seen it from Leno's angle from behind the goal. I can understand how you look at Leno and you say, why are you not doing better there yourself? But when you, as I said, sorry, I just want to make that point because it's really important. When you look at that perspective from behind the goal, you can then understand why Leno hasn't just booted it out. I'm going to leave it at that.
Totally agree with you, Sam. And I actually think the thing about Granit Xhaka, he's such a slow player in midfield that he doesn't have that photographic memory, or he can't see the field and how things are going to develop quickly enough for him. I'm not making excuses. This is how limited he is. Granit Xhaka cannot see how
Matt wanted to say something. Matt wanted to say something.
No, I was just going to say, to be fair to Sam, I think from the point that Xhaka receives the ball, I think you're absolutely spot on. I can't argue with anything that you said in terms of once Xhaka receives that ball, he's completely ballsed it up in every which way. And like I say, if he has called for the ball, then absolutely. Really, I mean, it is an interesting point you make about space. Again, I'd have to go and have a look at that because I haven't seen those analysis to see from a different angle how much space there was. So it is a really good point to make, and maybe that is the case. I can't argue against that at this point because I haven't seen it. But yeah, he did balls up. Xhaka definitely had a role to play, but from the way I saw it, you know, Leno had a lot more vision than Xhaka.
And listen, Matt. That's why I'm not really gonna go against what you're saying there. I mean, even though I've seen it from a different angle, and I'm going to say I disagree with you, but I can understand from the
situation. I've got a point in my head. Both of you.
I just want to say to Matt one last thing. That I was going to say because you say you haven't seen the other angles, you've only seen it from the broadcast perspective. I can totally, like I said, I can totally understand where you're coming from when you've only seen that perspective. Just want to say
let me say one thing, and both of you can then speak. I actually believe Granit Xhaka is that personality in the dressing room that commands and demands the respect of a captain. I believe he's a bigger personality than Bernd Leno. Or Bernd Leno lets him be a bigger personality. So he's come forward and demanded that ball from Bernd Leno.
I agree. He has that presence and he has that authority. He has been captain for us as well. So, you know, I can see that. I agree with you completely. I do think he has a lot of influence within the dressing room, and he's one of the players on the team that has a lot of influence. I can agree with that point. Doesn't make what he did any better, but why it happened, you can say maybe that had an influencing factor as well. I can understand that. Yeah.
Let me go back to Matt. If Matt wants to say anything further, then I'll go to Matt here.
No, not really. To be honest with you, I think a lot's been said, and a lot of it's kind of been put out there. Like I say, it's all about perspective, I think, of what you've seen. But no, it's interesting points made. It's a really good debate. So,
and listen, we're not done with this topic. We're going to go another few more minutes. So if anyone else
Sam has another 30 minutes in him.
On this topic alone, yeah, it comes down to the execution, Matt. Here, it comes down to execution. We have to put 11 footballers out there that can execute and can play the ball the way we need to play the ball. Every player in the professional will be able to ship that ball over Chris Wood's head.
It's an absolute fucking disgrace that we've got a player like Xhaka in the first place. Why have we got this guy in our team? Since
because I like him. He's a good cheerleader. 40
who's any better though? When Partey's been out for a majority of the time, in fairness, in the squad, would you pick El Nene over him? I probably wouldn't. Ceballos potentially. I know we discussed about maybe pairing him with Partey, but when Partey
Chambers out there, we got player of the year at Fulham playing out there.
I mean, but still, guys, like the whole thing to me when he flipped off the fans, when he flipped off our supporters, yes, we were cheering him long time ago. That incident that happened, but since then he's been renamed captain. He's been I know we don't have anything better, but like seriously, from that incident, and even before that incident, I personally have not rated this guy since he's been in the team. Since we signed him, I have not rated him. Yes, we don't have anything better, but surely, I mean, you could have given the likes of Ainsley Maitland-Niles, for example, Mainsley, maybe put him there in the midfield and see what he had on offer, possibly. But I mean, like, seriously, guys, it just pisses me off. It just pisses me off that this guy's even there. He's even there to make the mistakes. And then a lot of fans say, oh, he's improved under Arteta. You know, he seems to be one of our better midfielders other than Partey, who we have. But I mean, like, seriously, guys, it's just frustrating. It's just frustrating, and he's captain again. Like,
it is. Mahir, you're right. It's so frustrating. We actually started pretty well in the game. We scored. We're going to get back to the start of the first half because, you know, this happened in the last 5 or 6 minutes. The Granit Xhaka incident. You get yourself into a position where you're 1-0 up, Matt. You're doing well. We should have had, probably could have had another goal if we'd been better up front.
1 goal.
These chances, at least 1 goal, these chances that we're missing are coming back to hurt us because all it takes is one lapse of concentration, as Granit Xhaka has done, and it's going to hurt us.
Yeah, I mean, we know. I mean, look at the Wolves game. I felt like I was in a bit of deja vu. It was like that all over again. You know, started brightly, getting chance after chance, not putting them away, and then getting punished because we don't finish our dinner and we make a stupid mistake. And, you know, again, Xhaka, you know, I mean, you can't argue with the number of mistakes. I know we've had the stats. He's clearly not a player that is going to be, if we're going to be progressing as a club and being looking at top 4, etc., he's not going to be the man that you want in the centre of the field. He's a necessity at the moment, to a degree, but we cannot keep giving stupid goals away and not finishing our chances. And you know, Xhaka, I mean, look at the Benfica game. That first game where Xhaka, you know, put us under pressure again at the end of that first half. You know that he's going to do these things. What I don't understand is how that's not been drilled out of us by Arteta, and I think this is somewhere where he really is failing us. It's not drilling these mistakes out of these players, and whether it's just down to simple fact that they just don't have the intelligence, and they're not the quality of player to be able to just take that on board and get it out of their game. But how can we be sat here still with these mistakes continuing to happen And I know we're going to talk about Arteta's comments later on, but to me, that's a lay down and accepting mistakes, and that's not good enough for me.
Am I here? You wanted to get in?
Matt, I wanted to ask you: wasn't there a period? Wasn't there one window or two windows that we actually offered him to a club and they were actually willing to pay him?
Yeah, I think someone mentioned in the comments there's something like 40 million euros or something for him. And he wanted Bellerin and Xhaka to stay.
Yeah.
Tony, tell him 40 million by Hertha Berlin, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That was after the whole. After everything happened with Emery, with the whole fans incident and all of that. He wanted to go. He wasn't happy. He wanted to go. Apparently, there was a deal lined up for him to go, and Arteta personally wanted him to stay and persuaded him to stay.
And that money has been so valuable now with the pandemic. It was stupid not to take it.
Yeah, I mean hindsight's 2020, right?
Yeah. But we said back then, this guy is full of mistakes, and he keeps doing it.
He didn't have a position, and he still doesn't have a position. He's not a defensive midfielder. He's in a box-to-box. So what does he actually offer aside from the occasional screamer from 60 yards? Well, I over-exaggerate.
So, Gary, Granit Xhaka and Burnley, they don't mix. It's like oil and vinegar.
I think it's a little bit more. I mean, yes, that definitely doesn't mix, but there's a lot going on. I mean, it sounds like Arsenal and Xhaka don't mix, but we keep forcing it, and it keeps showing us that it's not working. So I think it's a lot bigger. I mean, I don't think anybody in this panel thinks he's long term for us in terms of if we're gonna make it to the promised land that Arteta says he wants to get to. It's not going to be with Xhaka on the field or even in the team, right? So yeah, he's and he when I do the reviews of the games, I'm always like, I don't have really anything bad to say about Xhaka, but I know I don't want him on the. I would rather have somebody else out there, because he does do some good things, he does some bad things, like a lot of the players. But I don't. He's not going to make that pass that Partey made to Willian. That's even if he made that once every 3 or 4 games, I would be okay. But he's not making those types of passes where you look back and you go, "How did this thing start?" It doesn't start from him. So.
Do you know what, Gary? He did in the first half. I believe he did stick a really good pass through to Aubameyang. Obviously, I don't think Aubameyang was able to do much with it.
I stand corrected. You're right, because I actually went through. I actually went through like the first half, and like the last 6 minutes of the game, and there were 5 opportunities, and one around the 14-minute mark. It was Xhaka, a long pass to Aubameyang, and the shot got deflected by the defender because I don't know if he had enough time to get the shot off, but yeah, he did make a long pass there, but we didn't score. So I don't know if that's so we can blame Aubameyang for that, right? Because we can't. It's not a goal, but it wasn't a scoring opportunity. There were 5 opportunities before they got their chance. Before
As Enda said here, same old negativity. Xhaka had many great games in a row, but let's crucify him over one mistake. What did Alba do?
What great games has he had?
I wish it was one mistake, but it's not the things that it's not what we just saw at the end of this half. It's the little things where anybody will tell you he takes so long to get the ball out that whatever opportunity we have is lost.
Kills any tempo any other time.
So it dies. It goes. It's like an abyss. It goes in and never comes out. Sometimes, we don't get any opportunities, and it hurts. It hurts us because we need those opportunities. Because right now we're playing on fine margins, and he's not helping us get more opportunities. So as much as it's not just the negatives, but he's got multiple on his plate this season. Right? He's got multiple on his plate for the whole his Arsenal career. You can go look at them all. So it's not just a one-time thing. It's always there in the back of our mind. Something's about to happen. Somebody's just being rude.
Oh, no. Do you know what? Xhaka, in fairness to Xhaka, he has been better, but it's no good having improved performances for, say, 3 or 4 games and then having massive calamities, is there?
Well, that's the way Xhaka is. Xhaka will have maybe 1 or 2 or 3 decent games in a season, and most of the other games he'll be highly average, or he'll have loads of mistakes. Most of his mistakes don't lead to goals, but he still has loads of mistakes. But he still has those 8 mistakes that did directly lead to goals.
I mean,
and he's just he's not good enough. We always say he's not good enough.
Yeah.
But he keeps playing. Unfortunately, I would say Ceballos is a better option. There's different ways of doing it. Tactically, you can change things around, but yeah, it's a whole different discussion.
I have a transfer that will work for us right now, and it's a beautiful transfer. Listen to this, guys. To put tears in your eyes. Bring back Santi Cazorla.
Oh, could you ever dream?
That'd be lovely. So Matt, as Enda said, he's been one of our best performers. But if we're going to go, if we're going to go to where we need to go in the next couple of years, he's not going to be in the team. And there's probably 2 or 3 other players that should not be in the team as well. We all know the positions at this point in time, right, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, this is a rebuild. It is a rebuild, and we all know the players that we'd be looking to replace if we're going to be, moving up and moving forward. The likes of Bellerin. We do need more options there. He's not going to be around, I don't think. I'd be surprised if he doesn't leave in the summer. Granit Xhaka, Lacazette's probably going to leave. Although I actually really rate Lacazette, but again, it's about maybe cashing in on him. We are going to need a midfield partner for Partey, a Basuma type player. So there's a lot of work still to do, and I think we are going to see this roller coaster this season. It's not going to be a steady ride until we finish up this year, that's for sure. So, I think we just have to take the rough with the smooth a bit. It is disappointing. There's a lot of work to do, but I think next year is going to be the one where we can really have a crack at Arteta and the team.
Yeah. Which is not what Sam wants to hear, but anyway, that's a different story. Gary, as PG Nez says here, we being a little bit precious here. Nasty Burnley with nasty mean coach and the VAR. Burnley did what Burnley had to do, and they pressed us, and they got what they needed out of the game. And they've had 4 draws now, so I'm going to say fair play to Burnley. They got the point that they needed against us.
Yeah, I thought it was actually 5. I thought they were coming into the game with 4, and I think they got 5 in a row, but I might be wrong. So, yeah, no, they did what they had to do, right? I mean, that first 6 minutes, we took it to them, right? And then after that, you look at it from right after that point, we had, what is this? So this mean people out there, they don't like him, but yeah, no. We like I said, we had our chances, but we punished ourselves, right? We punished ourselves multiple ways, right? With the missed shots opportunities that we had, with the goal that we pretty much gifted them. VAR wasn't our friend; it's never been our friend as much as every time we have to go to VAR, we basically say, nope, it's not going to happen. So the only thing we had is our, the opportunity. The only thing we can lean on is our opportunities. We can't trust that they're going to actually call a good game for us.
Yeah, we have to go.
Or the ball is going to bounce friendly. We don't even get lucky on the ball bouncing. Like if that ball bounces off of Chris Wood's hip and bounces back to Leno, we're fine. We go, oof, right? I mean, but it does. It goes straight into the goal. I mean. He barely moved. He didn't even know what he didn't. You saw his face afterward. He's like, I was just standing there.
He was just I'll take that.
To be fair, I mean, Enda just mentioned this is infantile. Blame the players you don't like. Excuse your face. Let's just put this clear. I don't think anyone in that game had a particularly fantastic game.
Nope.
Chambers did well, I thought, given I thought people would probably question his selection. But I don't think anyone had a really cracking game at all.
Yeah,
it's not about favourites for me at all.
Yeah, many wanted to give Aubameyang the man of the match, and I'm like, no. He's got to make his job is what? To score goals for us. He got 3 or 4 opportunities to score goals for us. He made 1, and a lot of those were well after the 6-minute mark. So he had opportunities, and then he disappeared for a while. Right? He went. I think if I recall, it was after the 6th minute. It was like 6 minutes left in the game when he finally got another opportunity. So I don't like that from Aubameyang, but he didn't cost us a goal with his, disappearing from the game and stuff like that. So it's a little bit different. You can't really compare the two. If your job is to be defensively sound, then you have to be defensively sound, or else, why are you out there? If the goalie keeps letting in goals, we're going to be upset with Leno, right? He didn't. I don't think he did that today. He saved us from losing for 1 point we got, right? You looked at our defense. There were a couple opportunities where they had one-on-one with Leno, and he pretty much said, no, not today. So, no, so that for me, the man of the match was Leno because we saved us a point because we should have had 3, but he saved us a point because of our mistakes. But I don't look at one. I don't. All like you said, all of the players had some good points yesterday, and a lot of bad ones. That's why the game was such, right.
So. No one was on it. Saka missed chances. Pepe missed an absolute sitter. Aubameyang missed chances. It was all over the place. We just weren't clinical enough at all. And you can moan about VAR, you can moan about mistakes with Xhaka, etc. But at the end of the day, if you have 3, 4, 5, 6 really good chances a game and you don't put any of them away, you're not going to win a game of football. And that's what's costing us, isn't it, really?
Yeah, listen, I want to say something here. Arsenal fans are all facets of society. Everyone has an opinion, and you're able to, as long as you're not completely obscene about it, you can verbalize how you feel about it on this channel. We're not going to be banning anyone unless you're absolutely obscene here. And you have to understand, some people use a form of humor to get through how they're feeling about Arsenal. It's absolutely fine. If you don't feel that way, that's fine as well. But as long as somebody is not absolutely obscene and disrespectful to each other, you have a platform here, you can put a comment up, and that's fine. So we have to understand Arsenal is a cross section. We have young guys like this one here, who is more reactionary than the rest of us, and then you have the older farts like us.
Gotta figure out what he looks like today. Right now with his prison break days.
So listen, we have to understand. Each of us deal with this. It feels like a loss, right? Each of us deal with it in a different way. Listen,
they were there for. Sorry, bro. They were there for the taking. Burnley usually poses a bit more of a problem, and they're a bit more of a blockade when you play them. Yeah, I just didn't see any of that yesterday. I saw that very clearly as a game where if we just went at them, we went missing in the second half, didn't we, for a long period of time. They were there for the taking. I believe that most sides in this league, with the way they played, would have swept them aside quite comfortably. They were not a problem. We just didn't do the business, did we?
No, that's true. True. We had chances.
I mean, how many chances? I think Saka had 2, Pepe had 2, and
Sabas hit the post, didn't he, at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was a whole pinball machine going wild on tilt. But you just ding, 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 ding. Hey, what's going on here? But I mean, the who was it that? Oh, the Pepe one was bad though. We're gonna discuss that also. But that one was like, please.
That's a good miss. That was a good miss.
15 shots and 3 on target.
Yeah.
And listen, we got caught out, Gary, by trying to play the way we want to play. We were trying to play out from the back. And look, Manchester City got caught today doing the same thing. One of the best teams probably in the world have done that. This is the way we want to move forward. This is the way we're going to move forward. And we're going to have hiccups like this, right?
Yeah. I mean, anybody tells you play out from the back, you're risking a little blip there and something bad happening. So you have to live with it. I mean, you have to live with it. I mean, I think it would have been, I don't know. You have to live with it. I don't think there's much more to say. It's not something you wouldn't expect, but sometimes we just want to see other players out there maybe getting opportunities. I mean, that's what some of us want. So,
and Tony,
seems like the same players get the same chances.
Tony, Arteta has said that we're not the finished article. We need to get more players in, and this is going to happen until we upgrade in each position. It's not going to happen in one transfer window either, right?
Yeah, but he still signed or extended 15 of these players. Do we want to give him 15 more players? I'm not confident on who he's been picking. Me and Sam both believe he needs to be sacked at the end of the year, and somebody else needs to be picking these players.
Do you just think it's right tactic, wrong time? I mean, if you know you're building a squad and you know that you don't have those tools in your tool belt available in games to kind of play this kind of football, and it's a bit early, probably not the right time, you don't have the right squad to start playing this kind of tactic in games because we are culpable of making mistakes, on the regular. Do you not think that's a bit of a naivety from Arteta to be playing this at this stage with this group of players? Be a bit more solid, focus on the basics, and then start playing that kind of football maybe next season when we've got the players to do it.
I think he wants to set in play a style of play so that he can switch out certain players and they'll be comfortable in those situations, Matt. I think he wants 2 players for every position that's going to be able to play the way he wants to play, and you have to start as you mean to go on, I believe. Sam, what do you think?
Well, I think that it is about, we talked about this a long time ago. It's about, the manager, a manager really, there's two ways of approaching management, isn't there? You've got the one where you have your own style or your own management, the way you want a team to play, or the way you want to play, and then you basically try and get the players to adapt to that style and that tactic, and you will most likely have one or several players that don't suit that style or tactic. They can't really do it, and that's when you struggle more than anything else, because you're trying to force players to do things that they're not naturally, able to do. And then you have the other style, which in my opinion is more successful. Is you look at the players, the squad. What kind of strengths do you have? What weaknesses do you have? And you play to your strength and try and avoid the weaknesses. So you adapt your tactics and your style to the squad and the players you have, to the tools you have. That for me is and that's what I thought Arteta did when he adapted to that 3-4-3, that hybrid 3-4-3 formation. All of a sudden gave us that success against the bigger teams like Liverpool, Man City. I actually gave Arteta a lot of praise for doing that, because I thought, wow, he's actually adapting to the squad and he's found a way for the squad to play successfully. And we did. Okay, we struggled more in attack than in defence, but we were really good on the counter. We were a lot more solid defensively, and we actually won some big games and gained some points. And then he was forced to move away from that through some injuries, etc. I thought he changed his style as well. And then we carried on with a more solid base, but we struggled then in attacking. It's just become like a hybrid really of we're using 4 at the back, but we're not really sure what we're doing when we have the ball. So for me, we're a bit in between, and that for me, that's where we're struggling. Is the tactics and the style is not really suited to the players we've got at the moment. We should go back to what worked with the 3-4-3, in my opinion, because that was actually working with this squad. So for me, Arteta is still struggling to find what works. Yes, he's implementing his style. He wants the players to play out the back because that is a style and philosophy he feels works best. And again, that's another discussion. We can talk about how that actually does work. And that is an area we have improved, to be honest. We have improved also playing out from the back than we did before. But it's just, I still don't feel we're playing the right tactic for this squad. I feel we were better overall playing the 3-4-3 formation, with that hybrid formation. I thought we did better.
Well, I'm actually glad.
We got more strength on the edges.
I thought that he would want to go to 4-3-3. And he tried that and it didn't work at all. So I think 4-2-3-1 right now for us is the best formation. I agree with you, Sam. He adapted to go 3-4-3 because we were horrible. Defensively, we were horrible.
Yeah.
Now he shored that up. A couple of comments from Enda there. Tierney made goal conceding mistakes. Oba goes matches without scoring, and we have criticized Aubameyang. I have criticized Tierney because I want to see that final ball from Tierney. His final ball is not good. He put the ball in there. Like
You know what? The one thing that's different about the three players, I want Tierney out there because I feel like he's given us something more, right? Like he does.
Yeah,
We know he plays for the Crest. We know he's considered one. I think he's considered when he's healthy a really good left back in the league.
Yep.
Aubameyang, when he's on form, is one of the top strikers in the league. Xhaka, we've seen his ceiling.
Their ceiling's higher.
His ceiling isn't top 10, 20 in the league at his position right now. So when you're comparing these players, and when everybody says, you know what, Aubameyang's not scoring, so we should bin him, and then other people are like, you know what, you're going to bin not only your top earner, but also your striker. If he's on the form, he's going to get you goals, and we've seen it now. Is he back to normal? No, he's not back to normal.
And
we see kind of blips right now, but he's getting himself in position. I think whatever was happening, I think in the early part of the season, hopefully is gone now, and we're going to see a lot more of what we've seen over the what he scored, like 4 or 5 goals over the last month or so, like that, which is for him is pretty big.
Amazing.
Big compared to what we saw before. It's hard. Xhaka is not at the same level as a Tierney or an Aubameyang for us to try to make a comparison there and say, you know what, when these guys are failing, it's a problem, right? Like today, a lot of people were like, KDB probably had a really bad game today. Does that mean he gets pulled? No, because he does provide the leadership that you want out there, and he actually does. When he's in form, he's one of the best in the league. So, and best in the world, right? So it's not. Xhaka isn't there. I mean, he's the best we got when Partey is out. But you take Partey out. We talked about having a team that he can plug and play with. We don't have that in the midfield, so you have to do something different, right? Partey hasn't been available to you, so the other 3 midfielders aren't even close to him. Partey at his level right now. You see him on I don't know why he got pulled out of the game because in this kind of a game, right? Was he tired? Hopefully, Also, you could be saving him for the run we have coming up, right? So, but you can see the difference in the level of play, and you know what? Sometimes it's, you kind of look back at that deal and you're like, what if we had taken that money and we're able to get 2 midfielders out of it? Would that have been better for us, right? Maybe,
Maybe.
But it's nice to see a Partey on the team. We just, it would be nice for him to be healthy too.
We also have a few midfielders out on loan, and Arteta, whether you like him or not, he has principles, and he stuck to them with Torreira and Guendouzi. Cheddars, I agree with you. He has a good feeling that things will work out for Arteta. What do you guys think? Just put your hands up if you agree with Cheddars. I agree with Cheddars. So we get 2 out of 6.
What do you think? Arteta is going to come good? Yeah, I mean, we'll see, won't we? We'll see. I don't think so.
Do you think Arteta's going to come good, Mahir? Was Matt and I are the only 2 so far? Nope. Okay, so 2 out of 6. And I do believe, Warren, Arteta needs more time. I would give him another year. And look at what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is doing right now, Matt. He's in the job a year longer. A year ago, we were bantering Manchester United for the results that they were having.
Yeah, but one player turned him around.
He was getting a barrage of comments of, Ollie at the wheel and all of this kind of stuff, get him out. He was under just as much pressure, if not more, than Arteta at points. And, look where they are now and what they're doing. I know it's a bit of a topsy-turvy season, it's a bit of a funny one. No one's playing out of their skins. Obviously, City are walking away a little bit. But, you look at the likes of Liverpool and where Klopp is. Would any of us have thought this season would turn out like it has for Liverpool? No. I think Arteta does need to.
6 defeats in a row.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Arteta has a lot. I think his inexperience does show, but on the flip side of that, I mean, there are things that you can clearly see. Substitutions being too late. Some of the he's been flexible with his tactics, and then he's been quite rigid and hasn't changed things when he needs to. Not cutting out these silly mistakes. Lack of leadership, I believe, on the pitch, we're really suffering with. But I do think there is that spark, and I've seen enough from him in the last 18 months to think, give him enough money or give him enough investment and backing, give him enough time with the squad to build his own squad and his ideology with the right players, And I do think we are going to move in the right direction. And I do think next season we'll be in a much better place.
I think that is the one word you mentioned, and there was if, right? If we get support, if he gets support that he needs, and until I see the support, I can't see him getting what he needs to be successful, because he can't do it with the players he's got. So many of us think, I guess there's some out here that think that if we had a different kind of, we had a manager who's more seasoned, he'd be able to get a lot more out of these players and maybe figure out what to do with some of them, right?
Well, I think we've had Gabriel, we've had Partey come in.
Yeah.
We have had some really good players come in. I mean, you look at the youngsters, obviously Emil Smith, I know probably more through having to play them and giving them that opportunity. We've had Emil Smith Rowe, Saka. Obviously we have had Cedric as well. And Mari, I think, has been a revelation as well this year. So, there is some really good positive stuff coming in and around the club. It's just the mixture's not quite right there. So it's baking, but it's not quite baked yet. And I think, next season will be a lot different for us.
That's if they can make the financial investments, and I'll be surprised they can make them, because things are even worse now, right? Unless you're seeing fans in stands and you see Stan with his hands in his pocket, you're not going to see anything better than what we saw in the last summer window. I mean, I'll be surprised if they do. It'll be nice to have that, but I just find it's a stretch, I feel like, where we're going to be able to bring in more players than we bring in the players that we need, and good players to keep the levels up with what we already have on the field for, the 5 or 6 players that are at that level that we want to fill the spots around them, so we're not kind of setting them back anymore.
There will always be players we can target, Gary. Warren is worried about our 10th place right now, and I agree with you. It's not great, but I'm going to roll out this tune you might have heard already. Since December 26th, we played 13 games, 7 wins, 3 draws, and 3 losses. A couple of those losses we should not have had, so we could have actually had more than 24 points out of 39. And, that shows me definite improvement, Warren. And Warren's giving him some more time. Am I here?
Yeah, I'm absolutely speechless. I had my Xhaka rant about the game. On the other hand, also clinical finishing. You should, with certain mistakes that being made, like the Xhaka mistake, that's a whole positional awareness thing. If you're a quality player, if you play for any of the top sides in the Premier League, you should know who is behind you, who's in front of you, what kind of options you have at all points of the game. And when it comes to getting players out and getting players in, look, I'm wanting to be proved wrong. I'm wanting to be proved Arteta is the man, because even when he signed as coach plus as manager, I was personally backing Simeone. I was like a Simeone, an Allegri, those type of managers. I mean, even Ancelotti, for example. Not Brendan Rodgers, any of those any former players coming in, and I want to be proved wrong. So Arteta just needs to support him then. Support him and bring in the players that he needs. We do know these players. So hopefully they somehow listen to us and we all proved wrong. All the Arteta out, guys.
All right, Tony, 13 games since December 26th, 7 wins, 3 draws.
Not good enough.
You want more?
Oh, if only the season started then, eh? Oh, wow.
I mean,
Still doesn't put us very high up in the form table, so it's just.
That is
If only the season started then. Why don't we start from just a few games ago? It'll be even better then, wouldn't it?
Well, we know the reasons why, right?
So it's you can make anything out of anything really if you want to. The
Season's
whole
38 weeks, right?
The result of everything is where we are in the league, right? You can't hide from that. We had an atrocious first half of the season. Up until Christmas, we were absolutely atrocious, and yes, we have improved since Christmas. But that's like saying what we came out of a car crash with all our bones broken instead of being dead. Okay, great. You know, it's we're still in a terrible situation, right?
Do we need to go and find our Bruno or a player?
I think we
Are we-
might have that
are
with
we-
Erdogan. I think we might have that with Erdogan. I think Erdogan is doing a hell of a lot of good for us. We need to integrate him a little bit more. For me, the deep double pivot we're using is not great. We're not linking up that well with the attacking players with a deep double pivot. That for me is where the tactics are also an issue. You know, like I'm saying, Arteta did a great thing adapting to the 3-4-3 to get us out of trouble and improve us. We did improve when we moved to the 3-4-3, but then changing away from that again, not sticking with it, and then moving to other tactics. I think that's where Arteta sort of lost it a little bit along the way, and also where Arteta lacks a lot for me is man management. Man management in many ways as well. The way he treats different players differently, has different rules for different players, and also the fact he has terrible game management. You know, his substitutions are often wrong, come at the wrong time. Tactically he makes the wrong decisions in the second half. You know, when other teams adapt to us and change their tactics, you know, he struggles to counter that again. You know, when they've adjusted to play better against us, we struggle to counter that. And that is a manager who's learning on the job, you know. And I'm just, how many years do we give him? You know, we want results. That's the idea of football, is results. We're not here to teach people how to become a manager. That's not the point of Arsenal Football Club. We're here to get results and win. You know, we're a results business. You know, we're not a school. We're not a college. We're a football club. So, you know,
Brownie makes sense there, Sam. Brownie's making sense.
Well, it's to see. We got a good defender. We got a good central midfielder. Right now, we're lacking a striker because the striker we had, Aubameyang, is missing at the moment. Unfortunately, you know, we would love him to come back.
We have enough talent.
I haven't given up. I haven't given up on him yet. I think he can come back, but he's missing at the moment, so we don't have that striker, and we have too many other players who are not quite good enough. Who are making too many mistakes. That's the problem. You know, we've got too many error-prone players.
One thing you said at the beginning of that thing was, you know, Bruno, one player coming in and making a difference. I don't think we are one player away from being a number 2 in the league. Not at all. If that's what you look at United, I think they had top to bottom had a better squad than us. Actually had players that to some degree were out there trying, you know, had the mentality to take whatever Ole is giving them and put it out on the field the best that they could. Maybe they can't do it all every day, but I don't think that, you know, we're comparing apples and oranges again. I think we're far behind them to where you put in one player mid-season and then you see your fortunes kind of grow from that. I think we're further away from that than, you know, we think, because players need to sit out, and we can't sit out one player right now. So 3 players sounds good, but that's a starting 11. That's not a team, right? We don't have a bench that we can go to right now where we feel like we're not going to lose too much, because you take Partey out, it drops. You take Kearney out, it drops. You take Saka out, we don't have an answer for Saka right now. We have players close to him that can help us out in a pinch, but we don't have a strong bench like we would want. And when this all goes back to what Arteta said he wants to do, right? He wants us to be top 4 next year, right? I believe it's next year, or is it the year after? You know, when he's 3.5 years in, right?
Warren, I'll answer your question. I think give him another year, and he will get top 4 next year.
Give him another year, and then he'll be top 4 in another year?
Yeah, Warren asked that question, Gary. You probably don't think so, right?
I don't think next year we're top 4 ready. No, not at all right now. Unless they do give him the support that he needs, which is more than 3 players. I don't, and 3 players, and also there's coaching and management, I think, skills that he's still lacking, right? So you take some of that out, and you know, this season could be totally different if, you know, I always go back to this season could be totally different with a manager probably that had a similar ideal as to how he wants to build a team and then actually coach it and manage it, right? We've seen it in, you know, some of the decisions that he's made. So those are the growing pains that we have to go through, and those are the points lost that some attributed to the manager. Even though time and time again everybody says once the players get on the field, it's up to them. Well, if they're not getting the right instructions, the right training, the right management, then things aren't going to always go your way, and then you see you lose points.
I think we've seen the big difference between the water breaks and halftime now. We used to have the halftime in each half, Matt, and I think we see the difference now.
Yeah, I think, and this is where I really do think that those breaks gave Arteta the opportunity to get messages across, get things across to the team, change things up. And you did see a response when we had those breaks. I think we lack that person on the field who can translate those messages and really pick up on a game, dictate the tempo, really look outside of his own narrow box. Because I think our squad at the moment, everyone's so focused on their own individual roles. I don't think we have a player with the vision and the ability to lead a team and see the bigger picture. I don't think we have a player who can take a game by the scruff of the neck, pick up on the fact that we've just spent the last 15 minutes as we've come into a second half where we need to really up the tempo and go at a team to really get that team to do that. We haven't got a real true leader.
No, it's true. It's another problem. The captaincy has been an issue with Arsenal for many years. Ever since Vieira left, we haven't really had what you say, a really, really good captain. Okay, I don't know if Fabregas was good enough. I don't know. For me, he wasn't a real leader. He was a good footballer who did the business on the pitch, but he wasn't really good with his mouth. That's the thing. Since Vieira's gone, we haven't really had that real proper leader. Who, like you say, Matt, is so true. That a good captain means so much. You pick your players up when you're down. You're good tactically. You'll give the tactical decisions from the manager. You'll implement that, on the field. It's about motivating the players, but you get them up when they're down. It means so much. We haven't had that leadership for so many years. It's been, our captaincy at Arsenal's been a joke. There was that whole thing with Emery where he basically turned it into the players can choose it themselves. We're just basically gonna pick a name out of the hat, basically.
5 captains.
What was that?
That's just a joke. How can you even do that? We gave, and then Wenger who gave Walcott the captaincy on one of his last games, whatever it was, or something like that. It's just we just made a mockery of the captaincy. We can't do that. The captain is so important. You see every top team, right, in Premier League history, top team, I'm talking about the ones that really do the business, they have a good captain. Manchester City, Vincent Kompany, amazing captain. Look at all the captains in Manchester United have had, the great captains up through, The last time we were good, Henry was a decent captain, because he led by example and he shouted at people and got them going, even though you could say he was lacking a little bit, but he was still a decent captain. But then you have Vieira. Vieira was an amazing captain. Before him, Adams, right? You look at all the major teams that have won things. Their captain is always a very good captain, and we're just a joke with the captaincy. Unfortunately, we just can't get it right.
All right, let's. We spent a lot of time talking about Xhaka and general things about the club. Now let's get into the game and let's do what we talk about, Gary. What we did well yesterday, and I'm glad you talked about this is the way we want to play. This is the way. We need to play out from the back. We need to be dedicated to that. I thought I'd be the only one fighting the good fight today, so I do appreciate that, Gary.
Well, no,
we did good, right?
Yeah, I say we did. We did good because we did get the opportunities to score. Like I said in that first, we had 5 opportunities between our goal and their goal, right? So we had opportunities to score. So we're not clinical enough in front of goal. Part of it also, it looks like we just don't want it as much. There is the one play where the long pass comes in to Aubameyang, and he doesn't go after the ball with any kind of vigor, like he wants it. It's his ball, and the ball gets tipped. It pretty much goes out of bounds. So that is more of a mindset than anything. That's either the player has it or he doesn't, or the manager's not. It's still pushing, getting that out of his players. So we had the opportunities to score. And if you look at the last, 4 or 5 minutes of the game in extra time, we looked like a team. It didn't matter that they were sitting back. We still got opportunities to score. Where you need to be able to do that for longer than just, 6 minutes left in the game. Let's really go into it because you know what they're going to do. It's not like you come into the game and you realize, you know what, they got the goal back, so we go into halftime. All right, we know what they're going to do. They're going to take advantage of any of our little mistakes, which we definitely had because they had opportunities to score. So you got to be a little bit careful with the ball. We did not do that, right? But we still had opportunities in that second half to score. We had a ball hit off the post, had one call back, had the handballs. We had all those opportunities. So there were good things in the game, and it does get we can't look at all of them because we made the biggest mistake of the game. Right?
We're going to after 6 minutes. Aubameyang scores a goal. It all starts playing out from the back with Partey collecting the ball from Burnley.
Yeah.
William with the assist.
William gets the assist.
amazing assist.
I mean, I don't understand this assist thing. I mean, I know it leads to a goal, but he had to take so many. I mean, at some point, it's got to be it's 1 or 2 touches and a score, and then it's a goal. But it's not like dribbling around.
It's a pass. It's a pass to Aubameyang, and Aubameyang does all the work.
And then
you've got to give him credit. We've absolutely hated this guy for what. I'm just going to give him credit when it's due. He has played well. The last few games, he's been given an opportunity. He has seemingly turned the corner, and I think he's been very good actually.
He's been a lot better.
He's been good, but I don't think he's a starter for us, right? I mean, I think. What we're getting now is what I would like to see, but it doesn't mean he's a starter for us. He's coming off the bench for us in situations, giving players rest like he's doing right now. Right when we come to Thursday, I don't think he's going to be in the starting lineup, right? So. I mean, I'm hoping it's Pepe and Saka on the outside there, but we'll see because we never know what we're going to see. And
in terms of the assist, I'd rather have given it to Partey because that pass he slides in through to Willian there, that is a pass. That's a pass.
Yeah.
So in terms of these positives, though, I was just going to say these positives. Just thinking back, and I said this somewhere else. I think that. Before this season, we were moaning that we couldn't defend. Then we learned to defend, big style, and we were much, much better. Then we couldn't attack, and we went through ages of not being able to create a single frigging chance in a game, and we're thinking, what's going on here? Now we can create chances and we can defend, but we can't finish them. We're getting there. We're making progress, but it is slow progress.
Yeah.
Want to shout out Mark for joining us. Mark Green, I said at the start of the season we will do well to finish top 10. Nothing has changed my mind so far. Tony, really, really good goal. Aubameyang cutting inside. And this is what Aubameyang can do if you get him the ball quickly. He's isolated on one defender.
That's a terrible. I can't believe you put that up there. Right, that's all against everything you believe in.
Granit Xhaka has that vision. You could see exactly. I would like to highlight comments. It doesn't mean I endorse them. A lot of people want to see their comments up here as well.
No, I don't doubt that. I was just.
And the other thing as well is I can't always scan the comments, so people have to understand that we will all have different ways of verbalizing how we feel about Arsenal. I'm a firm believer of that. We are all generational. We have the young kids down here who are reactionary, and then the rest of us who read the game properly. Just kidding.
Gray, cloudy with no chance of clouds.
Boom, boom, boom! Shot fired. Time.
So Tony, quick ball into Aubameyang, and really, really good to see him get the shot away. Right?
Yeah, that's what he does best. That's kind of his go-to, his specialty. He should score that. Like Sam said, it's all started with Partey's pass. I don't see how Willian gets to assist there, but it was a good goal from Aubameyang. Hopefully he keeps it up. I don't think he's going to.
It's a bit strange with him, isn't it? All of a sudden he drifts in and out, doesn't he?
Tony, 14 for the season now. He's creeping up on Lacazette. Does anyone know how many Lacazette has for the season? If anyone
Not
knows where
Number
Lacazette
10.
is on the season, let me know. Aubameyang and Lacazette, they've got to be around the same goals now. Sam, we didn't kick on though. Many chances afterwards.
No, I mean, this is the thing. We created these chances. We should have put them away. You know that we're not clinical enough, unfortunately. It's a good thing that we're creating the chances. That's definitely a good thing. You know, we don't suffer for a lack of chances. Unfortunately, we're not put them away. I mean, that chance Saka has. You know, he's got a whole goal in front of him and he misses.
Yeah.
You know.
That reminded me of David Rocastle, the way he broke into the box there.
Yeah, Saka does so. That's the thing with Saka. That's the only thing I would say with Saka. He's a fantastic young, amazing talent, incredible player. The only thing for me is he lacks that final, the final touch, what he does with the ball, that final bit he does, when it comes to shooting, passing. He will often not do the right thing there, but that'll come with experience. I think we keep giving him these chances. He's gonna come good, and he could become prolific if we're lucky. He could become prolific because he gets enough chances. He gets the chances. If he can start putting them away, we could have another prolific goal scorer there if we're lucky, because he gets into the right positions. Unfortunately, he doesn't really put them away. And that's the thing with football. You've got to put away your chances. Unfortunately, that's what it's all about. And my main gripe about this game was, not so much the chances we had. I think we should have won the game. And it does feel like a loss because of that, because of the mistake and because of the errors we made and everything. And because it's Burnley, who's a team we should definitely be beating, as Matt said at the start. It's definitely a team we should be getting 3 points against. So that's why it always feels like a loss. But at the same time, for me, it's just like I told you, Ray, in our chat that it just, for me with Arteta, for me, in my opinion, he made this game as difficult for us as possible with so many of the decisions he made, game management wise. He made it so difficult for us to move on and win the game. In the second half. He didn't give us that. That he didn't give us the right, the right strategy and the right substitutions, the right moves to actually give us the best chance of winning the game. Unfortunately, that is my gripe with him, and that is why, for me, I have all these question marks about him moving forward, because game management, match management is a huge part of being a top manager.
Yeah, I want to shout out Tony for being here with us under difficult circumstances. He's still here, and I think we're making you smile a little bit, Tony. Maybe just a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm not going to pose this question. I did talk about it before we went live. Stan said a week ago, everyone was saying we turned a corner. I want to ask people to think about this. Would you have taken 4 points from the last 2 away games?
No, I don't like. It's not a good question. You can't talk about it afterwards because going in, you would have no. Okay.
I didn't say I needed answers. I just wanted you to think about it.
Yeah. No, I don't like the question. If I would have told you,
if we would have told you, Leicester,
yeah. But the other question to that is, if I would have told you you would win the Leicester game, how many points would you expect to get out of those 2 in back-to-back games? It'd be 6 for everybody. So it's how you pose that question. I mean, going into the season, if you looked at it, you go, you know what? I can see us getting 4 points out of those 2 games long before the season started.
As the host, I get the benefit of phrasing questions to my credit and twisting things around. This is Arsenal. We get the chance to do this.
The one thing also, because Sam was talking about man management and kind of how you put the team together and stuff and make the subs and whatnot. With 10 minutes left in that game, we take put Ceballos in, we take Partey out. For 10 minutes. Could Partey have gone 10 minutes with Ceballos and maybe Xhaka come out? What are you gaining with Xhaka in there when you're trying to go for a goal? Right? I would have liked to have seen that, because that you would have had forward movement with the ball, maybe better passing from the midfield. Ceballos even got in there and got a shot off. I mean, it's 10 minutes. Why does Partey come off for 10 minutes when you're trying to chase You need to get 3 points. You need to get 3 points in that game because for the next 1 or 2 games it's going to be really tough to get 3 points. I mean, you got that other team up 3-1 now on Crystal Palace, so yuck. So it's 10 minutes. You bring him in for 7 to start his career with Arsenal. 10 minutes when you're chasing a goal to take the lead. These are the little questions you ask yourself. Why? Because
I don't get substitutions in the 80th, 85th minute. I mean, to protect someone from a red card or tiredness for an next game, maybe okay. But you know what? This is what bugs me is you can clearly he almost seems too afraid to change things at say 60 minutes, 65 minutes, or even half time. Because really, I think all of us watching that game, we came out so slowly in the second half. We were snail pace. And you're thinking, watching that game, you're thinking, either I'm going to scream myself hoarse at these players until they pick up the pace and pick up the tempo, or if they're not, by say the 55th minute, I'm hauling a couple of guys off and we're going to change the pace of this game. Not wait until the 80th minute when we start picking things up. And that's when we started to play like we did in the first half an hour. It's too late. You need to make these changes earlier. And that's where I think he does go wrong, is these substitutions and these changes come far too...
And his adjustments because Sean Dyche did something really good for the second half. At the half time, Sean Dyche made this adjustment where he put his midfielders in front of Ødegaard, and he said, right, you're blocking the passes to Ødegaard because Ødegaard was pulling a lot of the strings in the first half. They decided to block Ødegaard, and that's what happened. And all of a sudden, we struggled to connect with the attack, and it worked really well for Burnley. And we struggled to, and that's where when they made that adjustment, blocking our path to Ødegaard and our attack, because they just decided to sit back and block that without really pressing us. Then all of a sudden, we had a new problem. We couldn't really force our attack in the way we wanted to in the first half, and that's where Arteta struggled to readjust or counter-adjust to that. He didn't really find those adjustments, and then they made these mind-boggling brain. I can't understand. When we actually need to, when we need to get back on the front foot and actually attack them, he takes off our most creative players, Willian and Ødegaard, even though they were struggling. But he takes off the creative players and puts on players who are less creative, and thinks that's somehow going to win us the game. And then waiting to the 80th minute to make that Ceballos change is also very strange. Ceballos should be coming on a lot earlier, who can carry the ball better and maybe give us a better transition in an area of the field. Because the thing with Ceballos, right, is he lies deeper than Ødegaard. So you can put him on and he'll go higher than Xhaka. Oh, that's why I'm taking off Xhaka and put on Ceballos instead of him, because you can put Ceballos then in between Partey and Ødegaard, and you can then have a better transition working around their midfield. Instead of just having 2 deep lying pivots, you've got someone who can go higher up, and that's where Ceballos can play that role. But he didn't make that adjustment until the 80th minute, and he'd already taken off Ødegaard. So it's all those decisions tactically, and also with choosing who to play, for me, were just very strange. Just didn't really work.
And that's the thing, because Ray says that Pepe and Laka came on 60 plus minutes, and he's right. I think they came in very late. I think it's about 68th, 69th minute. But I think the point is the crucial substitution of Ceballos, for me, that's the one that really should have been made earlier.
Yeah. Gary, chances. Aubameyang has a through ball in the 15th minute. Very, very like the Benfica game. We want him to hit it on the left foot. He holds up again, and the chance is gone. Partey clips another ball in, so we're getting chances, and we're not putting them away.
Yeah, in that segment of time, Aubameyang and Saka both had 2 opportunities to score, and they didn't. And that's. Yep. I think Saka just needs to one-time that first one, but he takes it to the goal line and then comes back, and then we lose it. I think at that point. Or is that the one where Partey boots you right over the top? But I would have liked to have seen Saka just take it one time. There were 2 opportunities that he had, but
in the 22nd minute, Ødegaard, Saka, Aubameyang, and he plays Saka in. The play gets broken up, but it comes back to Saka, and he stabs the ball wide.
Yeah, we had opportunities, and that's we can scream at them if we want. We can, you can be mad at them if you want, but they need to be finished. And I've been saying all along that maybe last season we saw the evolution of Saka. This year we're seeing a lot more. Maybe his shooting boots just aren't in right now. Maybe he just hasn't ordered them. They haven't got in yet, right? He put them in Amazon. They just don't. Maybe they don't come in until next season. But he's putting himself in situations, and he needs to score. But he's not. That's why when you talk about Saka, we can't be too upset with him because he's not a finished product yet, and I would say we're 2-3 years from where we want him to be, anyways, right? When he's in his 22, 23-year-old, then we're like, all right, it's a team around you just as good as is able to keep up with you, and you're finishing, you're making shots, you're a 10, maybe even a 20 goal assist player in the season, right? Then we're fine. But he might be ahead of schedule for this team because we are 2 to 3 years just from, a lot of people said, just from getting all the players we need. So if that's the case, then he's ahead of schedule because you don't need him to peak too soon because he'll be ahead of everybody else and won't be struggling anyways. So yeah, Aubameyang will probably be gone in 2 to 3 years from now, right? So that's why we want to get as much out of him as we can because I don't think we're going to want to spend any more money on him. Not that money, anyways, right? No. Unless we have a really good team around him, and then it's worth it. But then the team's in the Championship League, is in the Champions League, and you have the money coming in. We're far from that right now, I feel, to be able to support a player of not his caliber, but also his salary. That's why I think at some point we'll see Lacazette and we'll have to go. Not because we can't use him, it's because we really can't afford him. We really can't.
18 people in here right now, so if you slap the likes, that'd be brilliant. Thank you.
Likes, people.
Matt.
Hello,
and then I'm going to try and get all of you in rotation so we get back to a bit more structure. Matt?
I was just going to mention something around the Saka thing. I think, obviously all of us would agree that he's an absolute talent and a half, and he's done amazingly well for us this season in particular. Yep. His development's been phenomenal. I think, like Gary says, he's ahead of schedule, I think. And I think, like you say, the one part of his game that he is lacking is his finishing. He gets himself into good positions, he gets forward, he passes well, he moves well, he creates for others. You look at that, we say his end product isn't that great, but look at the Benfica game with that cross in for Aubameyang to head home. That's a big moment. That's a big player moment. That.
Yeah.
It's just crossing, dribbling, passing. It's just his shooting. But I think it will come. Like I say, he's only 19, so I think in the next couple of years, he will get that part of his game. Like I say, hopefully his shooting boots will come off Amazon soon. But we should be looking to the likes of Lacazette, the likes of Aubameyang to be putting those chances away when they get them, because that is their sole job, effectively. That's what they're there for. Lacazette, I think we will see go, but we will miss him because he gives us something that no other player in our team gives. You look at how well he holds the ball up and brings others into play. I think we need someone like that, and I think that's going to be a bit of a gaping hole in our squad, I think, in terms of technical ability, because I think, was it last week against Leicester where he had 3 Leicester players around him? He kind of shrugged 3 players off and then was it Partey through?
Yep.
For the goal. Who else? Xhaka doing that? Or Nenny? Anyone else? I can't see anyone else doing that. I know the guy.
Like you say, Matt, Lacazette is very unique in that role, and that's why he works so well with our youngsters. Because of the way they play, he can link up with them. He can come deep and link up with them and hold up the ball for them. And he works really well in that role. The only problem is when he does that, he'll come deep and he'll leave. Then the box is open. Then there's we have this problem where no one's in the box. When we get there because he's playing so deep. So we then lack that forward player in the box to be there at the end of things. Because Aubameyang, if he's playing, he's out left. Or he sometimes he'll drift in the middle, but a lot of the time he's out left. So he leaves that space in the box, which we need to learn to fill up somehow with someone running in there. But the way he plays is very good, and that's going to be. I think Lacazette is going to be sold this summer because we're at that point where we need to move him on. And it's interesting you say, because who's gonna come in and do? I don't think we're gonna have that type of role. I think we're just gonna have to rely on our attacking, midfielders to do that.
Yeah.
Tony, our second halves have been very, very poor this season. We've come out, and you could say 5 or 6 minutes before the end of the first half, we lose concentration. We seem to come out in the second half without any focus, without any drive, and we didn't have a shot. We only had one shot on target, I think, in the second half up until the 73rd minute when the VAR decision came to pass. So what's going on with our focus in the second half?
I don't know, sometimes it's the first half, sometimes it's the second half. We just can't play a consistent 90 minutes, let alone a consistent 45 minutes in the first or second half. It really doesn't matter. We've been starting off the games better, but now we're not coming out in the second half and doing anything. We need to play a consistent 90 minutes.
It's a good point, Sam. Either we start strong and we get the goal like we did yesterday, and then we can't maintain that focus through the full 90 minutes.
When it comes to the second, I mean, we've had a lot of issues this season where we start very poorly. We start slowly. We start, like we're only in first gear. We make these mistakes early in the game because we're not switched on. And for me, that is both down to management, and the coaching, not preparing the team ready for the start of the game. You've got to have these guys fired up, ready to go. And also, it's a captain issue. That's one of the things the captain does, is get the players fired up and say, right, that's it, let's get going, lads, let's get going, really get them all fired up, ready to go. And that, we don't do that. And then for me, a lot of the problems in the second half, when we get into the second half and we struggle there, is down to, again, what I'm saying, when the opposition managers, when they make adjustments to try and, improve their play, that's where Arteta sort of struggles to counter-adjust, and we lag behind.
Matthew, you're right. Granit Xhaka was involved in the build-up to the goal, so we got to give him credit for that. But Mahir, you got to go.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do have to go. I have to go sort out a few things. Tomorrow is Monday. But I just wanted to say much love to all the subscribers.
Know that?
But I just wanted to say much love to you guys, our panel. I love that you guys do join us in every week, and to all our subscribers, smash the like button if you do breathe oxygen, and hopefully some big smiles ahead at Olympiakos.
Yeah. Let's hope for that. Cheers, Mahir. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mahir. Thanks for joining. Matt, focus coming out in the second half is not great. We don't seem to be able to maintain.
It's always the same thing, isn't it? Like, I think, good points back. It's either first 5 minutes, 10 minutes we switch off, the last 5 minutes of the first half, the first 5 minutes of the second half, or the last 5 minutes of the game. We can never have a full 90 minutes where we're fully switched on. There's always that period of time where we switch off, and that's where it costs us. Whether that's first half or second half, it kind of flip-flops between games, doesn't it? And we came out so slowly. We went from being really on the ball and getting forwards, really looking like a threat every time we got the ball, to pedestrian snail-paced football. And we were 1-1. We just gifted a goal to Burnley. Why have we taken our foot off the gas and sat back and thought, oh, okay? But why? I don't understand it, and it's a mentality. And I think Sam's right. It's leadership, it's captaincy. Someone to grab the leadership for the neck. Yeah, guys, what are we doing? Let's get this ball forwards. Let's up the tempo of this game. Let's go at them.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. when Xhaka made the play, you could see that the camera was on him. There was not one player around him. Why? Why not? Because he was feeling it, and what you want to see in your team is somebody come up to him and go, no, don't worry about it. We got this. We can get this back. So don't worry about it. Just continue to play something, right? We don't do that when some of our players get knocked down, ill-advised by another team. We just don't have that team structure where everybody's playing for the 11 on the field, right? We don't do that, and that's when you want it. I mean, I don't want Jacques on the team, of course, but I do understand the team concept, and we don't have it still. Haven't had it for many years. You've seen it where you see somebody gets taken down, and you see one of his teammates right there picking him up. A lot of times, our players are just picking themselves up with nobody around them, and that's been around for a very long time. Like they say they play for each other, but they don't. Because you see it when it's really tough, then you need somebody to pick you up. You need your teammate there going, you know what, we got this. Aubameyang should have been running there going, I got a goal coming in, so don't worry about it, right? That's what you want from your captain, right? Yeah. Somebody to say, you know what, don't worry about it. I know that was a mistake, but I got a couple goals in me for the rest of this game. Don't worry about it. We'll get it back. Right.
Yeah, and I just want to say one thing about this. I think it's very, very important, and that is our recruitment policy. We need to look at the mentality of the players we're bringing in, because the mentality side of it is just as important as the actual physical ability side of it. It means so much. Your attitude, your mentality, the type of player you are, both off the field and on the field, is so important. It really is. You have to have the right blend of players, and you have to have a mentality in your players that they want to win things. They don't give up. They don't just say, "Oh, it's okay. We're just doing what we need to do." Let's not get up. And it has to happen with our recruitment. We have to recruit better players. And Tony Adams said this. So I know Tony Adams is not always the brightest, bulb in the ceiling, but he said a few things before this season, and I thought he was so right. He said when he sees our squad of players, he doesn't see a leader. He doesn't see. Apart from we see Tierney coming up a bit now, but he was saying, before Tierney came in, he doesn't see a leader. He doesn't see a group of players who wants to lift themselves up and actually work and give 110%. He said they're weak mentally, and this is why we're always going to struggle, because that mentality is just not there.
Sam, have we gotten a few in like Partey and Gabriel that are starting to turn that around?
I think they are strong mentally better than what we have. Unfortunately, we still have like the Bellerins, the Xhakas, these guys who are still not quite there. They're never going to be there. They need to go, basically. We need to replace these players to get that mentality in, and we need to have a proper captain who's actually going to bollock the players and get them up. And I can see Tierney doing that, because Tierney's bollocking at the players, bollocking them, telling them what to do. But I think he would be an excellent captain for us. He's a bit young and he's new and that, so we will see how that goes. But leadership is so important. It's leading the players, lifting them up, motivating them, telling them when they should be fucking, concentrating, do this, do that, look there, and then the mentality of the players overall. If you've got a player who wants to, look at our Invincibles. Like Adams and Keown said in an interview way back when, he said, Invincibles trainings were so intense. The trainings were so intense. Everybody gave it 110% in those match scrimmages in training. People were tackling hard, going in hard, giving it 110%. People were, they were playing like they were in matches, giving it, they were really, the mentality was this, we're going to give everything because we want to win everything mentality. Yeah. But now these guys are like, Tierney. Oh, you're tackling. Now Tierney comes in. Who's this kid from Scotland? He's tackling too hard. We can't have him flying around tackling this hard. He has to lighten up on the tackles.
That's the kind of player we need. That's the kind of player we need, I think.
Exactly. Tierney is what we need. He's the model. And these other players, these snowflakes we've had now, they need to go.
Do you know what, Sam? I totally agree. In this comment that's just come up from Mark Green, Bellerin should have been sold when he complained that Alexis wanted to win too much. That is bob on. That is the attitude that this club has had for too long. Like you say, you talk about leaders. We haven't had a leader, really, since our Invincibles era. And we've been giving captaincies to the wrong people. There's a difference between being a personality, someone who's fun and bubbly and energetic like an Aubameyang. I'm sure he's great in that respect. He's probably great for motivation in terms of being a funny guy in the changing rooms, but he's not a leader. Will he stand out when the things are going tough? No, he won't. Is he going to be in the changing room, grabbing people by the scruff of the neck, saying, what you're doing, and really getting hold of a game? No, he's not. we don't have that type of player, and we don't have those types of qualities apart from Tierney. Like I say, like you say, he's the only real one in our squad at the moment that is jumping out at me as a potential leader. Being a personality and being a leader are two very different things.
Yeah,
Gary, you wanted to jump in?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with everything we're saying here. I mean, that's the mentality, the leadership is all lacking from us, and the players that are getting, and also it's the players that are getting the confidence. Like I said earlier in the pod, they're getting the confidence from the manager are the ones that are lacking, as far as I can see, sometimes the leadership that we need, and it isn't necessarily because of their physical and their talent on the field. It's not their play style. Sometimes it's like the little things that they do for their teammates to lift them up. All right. I mean, so yeah, we got a long way to go. Because that's why some people say some people think we've got 5 to 10 more years until we get this right. Because it's got to be a mentality that starts from the younger kids coming in. And I just was thinking back to kind of watching the Europa League group games and like how fun they were. People were the kids. I know it was you had an easy group and all of that, but they were enjoying themselves out there. And even in wins, we're not enjoying ourselves. You look at the team, and they might smile for a second, then it's gone. It's just too much of a job for them and not as much fun for them anymore. And if that's the case, then you got to change that mentality, because it makes it hard to get something out of the game, right? So you definitely need a leader in there to kind of bring everybody back down, but you want to be able to celebrate like Tierney did when he scored that goal. That's what you want. That people are like, he can't play. You can't make it too many games, and yeah, I get that, but that's this kind of level that we want, right? If you get me, players maybe not 100% Tierney's, but maybe 70%, we'll look a lot different right now if we had that on our team right now. We don't. We have a lot of quiet players out there that just, you just don't see it. You don't see that fire in them that you want to see, when something good or bad happens.
Let's skip forward to, and Warren's going to probably have a big part to play in this next part. Skip forward to 74 minutes.
Right?
Tony, VAR, handball on Peters. Pepe had just been on the pitch for 3 or 4 minutes, and kind of immediate impact. First, what's your take on that, Tony?
I think it was more on the shoulder. I don't think it was deliberate. I don't think it was a penalty, but we can see.
We're talking the first incident. It's a blatant handball for me. Not the one.
The one actually touches him on the arm. That one. They didn't even go to VAR, did they? You talking about that one?
I think there was 2 handballs on that sequence.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, I think there was one on the right hand, and then the clear one was on the left hand, right, where he kind of opened himself out. I don't get the proximity thing when you're making it. Where is he supposed to go with the ball if you can put up your hands like this, and take away?
I would have thought it was Bert Leno.
Yeah.
He had his arms out like that. Give him a goalkeeper's kick.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not natural, and I don't care about proximity at that point. It wasn't like he kicked it at him. He's trying to get by him, but he's got no space because he's close. He's a goalie basically without the gloves.
Mm-hmm.
It's clear
Absolutely.
as day. Clear
Ridiculous, Matt. Right? Absolutely ridiculous.
It was his arms extended. I mean, I've watched the clip back, and this is one of the ones that I have watched that back a number of times, and you can clearly see he had his arms already a little bit extended, but then he extends it out further before the ball, and then he dips his hand down. So you can see there's an intention there. And I'm sorry, but I think any time you have your arms extended aeroplane style, and the ball strikes your hand, how much clearer does it need to be? And I agree with Arteta's comments after the game, to be honest. If that's not a penalty, please explain to me what is.
Yeah.
So, Sam, for me, Peters panics here because his arm is extended, like Matt says. His arm extends further. If he isn't stopping that ball, he's stopping Pepe because his arm is going right into the chest of Pepe.
Oh yeah, it's a clear penalty all day long. If I'm trying to be devil's advocate here and trying to look at what happened, I'm thinking from when the position of where the referee is, I'm thinking maybe he doesn't see it that clearly from his position. But that is where VAR is supposed to come in. That's their role. They're supposed to say, hang on, we see a potential handball here. Hang on 1 second, let's have a look at it, But they don't even say it. They don't even look at it. They don't care.
Play continued, didn't it?
Yeah, just continue like nothing.
But also think about this. Even if you didn't see it, you know the ball is getting kicked to that side of the defender, and all of a sudden comes straight down, right? And you're like, wait a second, how did that? It just the laws of physics say that can't just happen. The area is not that strong.
I'm thinking maybe from his angle, maybe he thinks it might be the chest. I agree with you. I'm just thinking from where the referee is, he is a bit obscured, but still, he should see that. He should really see that. And VAR, their job is to say, listen, we need to look at this.
My understanding is VAR looked at it and said it was too close. He was too close to the offensive player, and that's why. That's why they didn't do it. But if you think about, they got
the decision wrong, right? They've obviously they got that decision wrong.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, but as a defender or an opposition player, you know that if you're inside your own box and someone's going to be trying to ping a cross in or is going to be striking the ball at you, you don't stick your hands out here.
No.
You know that.
Well, you know what? If that's the ruling, that means that as soon as you get close to an offensive play, you just put your hand on the ball. You're not going to call it because they're not going to call it because you're really close to the ball. And you know what?
His arms aren't even slightly. I mean, I could understand from if he's on the turn and he needs to kind of rebalance himself, his hand might be a certain few degrees out to kind of stabilize himself, but not when they're out here. Not when they're out here.
And the same thing happened the other night as well, didn't it? I mean, it wasn't just us who had a decision like that.
It was Conte had two hands over his head.
Conte as well had a clear handball. It wasn't given.
Two hands over his head. The ball strikes his head and nothing.
It's not just an Arsenal thing. It's a just complete incompetence thing. I see Warren said it was a clear penalty as well. He's a referee, so yeah.
When Peter Walton turns around and says it was likely a penalty, then you know.
Then that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if your arm is out like this, you're almost trying to play basketball. You're playing defense as basketball.
Yeah.
You've got your arms out like this, and you're actually jockeying. I actually wanted our players have to be. They shouldn't have to be more cute to actually fall. Pepe have to fall when his arm goes into his midriff. But it's ridiculous. Is there? I think Sam kind of said there's no other teams are being affected, Gary. But Arsenal fans could be forgiven for thinking there's a conspiracy.
The referee does not give us a clear penalty. So you're all, no matter. Of course, as an Arsenal fan, we're going to react to that. But my point is, it's not just happening to Arsenal. That's what I'm saying. It's a clear incompetence issue with these referees in the Premier League. They are terrible, absolutely terrible. The lot of them, they really are.
What do you think of?
It's killing. The other part of it. If the FA is looking at this, it is hurting their sport, and they don't even know it. Right? No, we're talking about the VAR, the referee decisions, pretty much every week. And no, that doesn't. You shouldn't. No. That should not be the case. You should be talking about the players scoring or defending or stopping. Goalkeepers stopping shots. All of that. We can't even talk about that because they go. Because they're talking about VAR and the referees. And it's easy to fix, right? So I always say these are easy ways to fix this, right? You either fix VAR or you fix the referees on the field. Pick one.
Or both.
Pick one, Pick both, because we want better referees coming in anyways, right? Maybe some of those referees from the lower leagues come up because they deserve it, right? And it's time for a little bit of a change. And maybe they have. We have the Good Old Boys Network now, where you have the same referees on the field as up in the box. Maybe you have the lower tier referees come up and they work in the VAR because they're not going to have that kind of relationship probably as the other ones that on the field play, on the field together with each other, Yeah.
It seems to be such a tight group of referees. You're like you said, Gary, a small group that know each other too well. 15, 20 referees, and they're all kind of covering for each other. Sam, did you see that Australian rules, how they're doing it?
I did, and it's very interesting, to keep it open and transparent like that. I mean, that's worked well for rugby. It's worked well in the American sports. That's what they do in the American sports. Why not? Why not try that with the FA and see if it works? But the number one thing, like Gary says, and what we've all been saying for a long time, the number one thing is you got to make that VAR room, whoever's in the VAR room, they've got to be independent. They can't be active referees who are actively in the same league as their colleagues. We just can't have that because it's become a cover-up. That's what it's become. It's become a cover-up instead of correcting what it's supposed to be doing.
As Rich Sports said, make the on-field referee responsible for the decisions.
He's supposed to be. That's the whole point of it.
That's the whole point of the manager.
If you can't follow your own rules, then how in the world is anything more?
That is where the FA has completely shit the bed.
Ridiculous.
Because VAR was supposed to come in to assist, just to assist, and the referee on the field makes the final decision. He's supposed to go over to the screen, get the assistance from the room, the independent room, well, not independent room, but from the VAR room, get the assistance from them, look at the screen, discuss it with them, get the angles he wants, all the film he wants to look at, and then he makes the decision. No one in the VAR room is supposed to say no, you can't do that or anything like that. It's up to the referee. He uses that information, the assistance of that information. Then he's supposed to go and make the final decision. What's happened with the FA in England with the introduction of VAR is they've become the people who make decisions. He just stands on the field and says, "Oh, what do you guys think? Is it a penalty or not? Or what do you guys think? Is it a red card or not? No, it's not. Okay, it's not a red card." He doesn't make the final decision, and it's completely wrong.
Yeah. It's just, as Dan said here, mic him up. Let's hear the madness of their fuzzy logic. This would actually help Warren, grassroots referees, because I bet it would clean up the language as well. If people heard the language that was going on from the players can put their point across. They don't have to curse or be foul or vulgar.
Oh, come on, Ray. Don't be a sticker.
They did an experiment with that in the late 80s with David Ellery. You've got to go on YouTube.
Millwall.
Search for Millwall David Ellery. You'll come up straight away.
Was it Arsenal Millwall?
It was Arsenal Millwall game in the late 80s. I think it was 87, 88, about that time. With David Ellery, they put a mic on David Ellery just to show what the perspective of a referee was like. And the problem was, David Ellery and the film team, they were supposed to tell Arsenal and Millwall beforehand that was happening. They didn't. They forgot. So he went on the pitch with all fully mic'd up, and they were swearing, effing and blinding. And Tony Adams, he even said to Ellery, "You're a fucking crook," or something like that.
Yeah. Really happened.
I think the fact though that we're talking about this so much is poor implementation, isn't it? It's just piss poor planning leads to piss poor performance. And I think if you're getting this number of errors when you don't see it in any other country, you're not seeing it with any other sports that have implemented it, like say rugby, American sports, even other countries that have had VAR, it comes down to, I think, just really poor implementation.
Exactly.
Not testing it properly, not speaking to the right people on how they do it, maybe a bit of arrogance to not take that on board if they've done it because we're the FA, we know best. It's not the system itself, it's who's running the system. Exactly.
You need the people within the system to do it correctly. That's what you need.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, and the language is more the respect that you're supposed to get from the referees, but the players probably don't give them much respect because you can't, after having a goal taken away because the referee said, "Oh yeah, you can go shoot it." Oh wait a second, I forgot the goalkeeper who I shouldn't have to care whether or not he's ready or not. He knows that there's a free kick coming. He should be prepared to go. The whistle's blown. Let's go. And so you're not getting respect there. So why would the players are going to give you the respect, and that's where the language is probably going to be so bad. I mean, and they deserve the respect, but you can't they deserve respect if 9 times out of 10 you get it right, all right? And that's either with the initial call or with VAR. And right now it's not. It doesn't seem like it's 9 times out of 10. It seems like it's maybe 6 out of 10 that they get it right when they either on the field. Like if it's a non-call and they even go to VAR, then that's a mistake. And the one thing they do here in the States in the college ranks is they review their referees in the college ranks after every game. And they have to be in like a 90 or 95 percentile in terms of not missing calls or actually calling the correct calls. And then they get reviewed right after the game. They know exactly where they stand. So they have to be on their, pretty much on their game every time they go out there because they have, that's part of their job. And I don't think we have that here where they actually go through and review these things because you see the exact same things happening over and over again across the board, right? Not one referee's doing it. It's like all, if there are 10 out there, 8 of them are doing it consistently and the other 2 are missing it. So you're like, wait a second, this isn't right. So
I think they do at certain points because I've got a friend who referees and he's refereed to a reasonably good level. And I think he's done some Chelsea youth and all those kind of things. And so he's climbed through and done some quite decent level refereeing. And I think they do have regular reviews. I don't know whether it's after every game, but I know they do get another senior referee to come and watch them and go through their performances. But yeah.
But it's what you do with that information, right? What do you do with that information when you after what happened after that one game, right? The referee had an ankle injury or something, a calf injury, and sat out.
Lee Mason,
was that a punishment?
All of a sudden, he was injured. All of a sudden, Lee Mason was injured. This
what I mean?
weekend.
So if they're doing it, it's not making the sport better, and that's the key. No. This whole thing it should be all about the players, right?
Yes.
All the money goes into the players, so all of the talk should be about the players.
Yeah.
Right.
The halftime intervals are always about referees and the decisions that are made. Matt, 75 minutes to 95 minutes, the game gets a bit helter-skelter. Both teams have opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, again, we started to pick up a little bit. We started to go, oh, actually, we might need to kind of do something here. We've been a bit lazy for the last 25 minutes. Let's actually try and make something of the game. And actually, they obviously had a lot more possession second half. We started to take it to them again. We did have a good couple of chances. I think, again, like you say, with the Pepe chance, that set up to him. I don't know what happened there. I think he just caught in 2 minds as to what foot he was going to take it with and just completely messed it up. And you can see on his face just the, what have I done? Straight away, what have I done? That was an absolute sitter. We did look better. It's just a shame that it took us from, the first whistle of the second half to that point to get us to kick into gear again.
Yeah, 81st minute, Gary. That's Pepe. Complete mishit on the short shot. Cross from Tierney. A good delivery from Tierney. 83 minutes, Saka across to Pepe. It's on his right foot. He's trying to guide it. It's not his favorite foot. I'm not making excuses.
No, that's not his favorite foot. That's a good shot. So, give him a hand, Sam. Give him a hand, Sam. He put that on. He put that in the goal. He put it in the goal. The defender's not there, or is missed. It goes off the shoulder and goes in. He did a good job.
72 million quid, and he hasn't got the ability to use both feet.
I didn't.
So any Premier League footballer, to be fair.
You're right, Matt. If I'm going to criticize Granit Xhaka for not being able to use his right foot in that situation, I should do the same thing for Pepe.
But you won't because Xhaka is your child.
I just said it.
You can't do that to your child.
I just said it. He's got to score there. He's got to put it. He puts it back in where the 2 defenders are flowing back. And then you get that momentary excitement, Gary, that we're going to get a penalty.
Yeah, as soon as they hesitate, you're like, you know what? They're going to go to VAR. It's going to be taken away. I think even the referee kind of hesitated with the red card coming out. I mean, I think because hopefully he knew he made a mistake earlier, and that's why, right?
No, his mate told him in the ear.
His mate told him in the ear to throw the red card, but we're going to rescind it, so don't worry about it.
Take it back. Just give him a yellow. He didn't do anything wrong, but we're going to give him a yellow.
Well, I think what they did, which is kind of weird, is they pulled out the red and then said no, and they took out the yellow and then said no as well. So because they had taken out both cards, so they were just reversing it. So the way they do that is put it out, no, yellow, no, and then like what?
I don't know what happened with the yellow there. That was a mess. That was a complete mess.
Tony could have used his temporary prosthetic leg to knock that ball in. If
He definitely could. Definitely could.
Mid-flight, Tony, you're taking your leg off and you're whacking it in.
Get him on the pitch. Get him on. Sub him on.
Get him signed. Sign that team.
Like hurling or badminton or hockey, right?
I can do it with a walker and just do it half-legged.
Yeah.
I mean, we definitely had our chances in that. We definitely looked like a team on a mission in that last. As soon as it hit 90 minutes, we was like, all right, we had nothing else to lose. Maybe we might score. Well, you know what? That could have happened any time from the 6-minute on period. Anytime you put the ball on goal, it might go in. And we should be able to. They should take, once again, this is like one of those scenarios where I say, look at the last 6 minutes of that game and see how you played. What were you thinking at that point? Because that's the way you need to play a lot when you're in front of the goal, when it's like, the 20th minute of the game. Because it's the same thing. There's no difference. We need to get a goal regardless. We're not winning games 0-0. There's no such thing. So we got to score.
Mark Green said, Warren, turn pro and you can make things a lot better. Get some Arsenal games as well, Warren. Stan said, put the refs in front of the cameras after the game and let's hear what they have to say.
Yeah, that'd be a nice one.
Yeah, that's what they do in the NBA. I think they either come out and make a statement about the last 2 minutes. I think they have a report of the last 2 minutes of the game, because a lot of times they want to see what's going on here, and they actually report on that because you can see it. There's so many video angles of everything. It's like, why did you make that call? And a lot of times it's like, we made a mistake. And you know what? If the referees came out and said, we made a mistake, people would go, okay, we understand that. What are you going to do to fix it? Because that's what we want. Right now, they're not telling us they're making mistakes and they're not fixing it.
Warren is moving up levels here, going to level 3 this year, 5 finals last year. So good stuff, Warren. Tony, we're pushing hard, and Ceballos has that chance right at the end. The killer.
A little too late to start trying to play. We just didn't put effort in the whole half.
I know you're a big
5 minutes and just not enough.
I know you're a big Chambers guy, and it's not his fault, but I actually think Chambers impedes him enough that he doesn't get his foot around the ball enough to get it in.
I don't think I think that was the best he could do in that situation because there was a defender there, and if he tries to if he gets too close to the defender, he nicks that and it goes far out. I think he did perfectly, but the clearance that he had was pretty good at it, especially at that time in the game. I don't think he had time to think about it. Everything worked out perfectly. It just hit an inch, it might go in. So I think it was. But those are kind of we can't live on that one. That's not that was the last opportunity.
One of many, right? One of many. Sam, your thoughts on that? Ceballos chance?
Yeah, he hit the ball quite well. It was curling in, and just unfortunately, just didn't hit it quite well enough. So it hit the post, didn't it? It's unlucky. We're so unlucky with our. I mean, it's a combination of a bit of being unlucky and also just not being quite good enough with the finishing, isn't it? We're not quite there with the finishing at the moment. It's a bit of a problem, isn't it? We've got chances and just don't put them away. But yeah, I mean, it was a nice chance to win right at the end, and he hits the post, doesn't he? So typical.
To be fair, though, the sound it made when it hit the post, I was surprised that the goal wasn't chopped in half. That thundered, honestly. The sound it made, I thought, bloody hell, he struck
it quite hard. Yeah, he hit it quite hard, so it made a nice little sound there, didn't it? Yeah.
But it was just unlucky. I mean, like you say, it's one of those. It's either going to go in or it's going to do what it does. It was a well struck effort. Unlucky, but too little, too late, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The assembled, we're going to get. That's the next segment. We're going to get to that next, real quick. What do we think of Aubameyang saying? It is what it is. But before we do that, Matt, we're going to go to Tony.
Matt's face is like, no. You know what your captain's saying that? No, we had a really bad game, right? You're tied. Yeah, it was a bad game for us.
Stick a pin in that for 1 minute. Tony, give us your man in the match.
Scoring it.
And beat somebody in a back four. I think all 4 of them were solid. You could give it to any of them. before.
Pablo Murray.
Either Mari or Luis, probably.
Sam,
But
what do
any
you
of the
think?
back four, I think, did good. Everybody else was just average or not good enough.
You going to give it to Odegaard, Sam?
For me, it's between Odegaard and it's between him and Partey. I think Partey had a good game.
Yeah.
I know he wasn't at his 100% because he's still coming back, finding match fitness. But the way he started the game, that first 20, 25 minutes, he was really, really good. His passing was slick. His tackling was good. If you could see that dynamic midfielder that we've been lacking, there. I can really see him, if he turns that 20, 25 minutes into something more regular and we see him hit full match fitness, full 100%, we could have a special player on our hands there. I really liked a lot of what I saw there from Partey. He did a lot
That's
of
why
good
it's man of a
things.
match, not man of a 20 minutes.
No, but I thought he did for me in those 20, 25 minutes, he did a lot more than what anyone else really did, I suppose, for the whole game. The defense was quite solid. Nothing. No one really sort of stood out there for me. Really, they were okay. That's what I'm trying to think. It's one of those games where it's hard. It's one of those games where it's hard to find someone who really stands out. That's the problem. So for me, when I'm thinking back, how I looked at the game, for me, the only person who really stood out at all in that game was Partey. For me, really, I mean, I can't really think of anyone else who really stood out.
In a game where you got like 6 out of 10 performances, Matt, I mean, it's hard to pick a man of the match, right?
Yeah, nail on the head, really. There were no real standout, exciting performances, and no one really kind of stood above anyone else to say, I was the man today. But I thought, given Callum Chambers, he hasn't had a lot of game time. He had to kind of fill in that position. I thought he was really, really solid. Given the amount of game time he's had and opportunities, I think he had most ball recoveries, most clearances. I thought he was really good, so I thought I'd give it to him, to be honest.
He's always solid.
Yeah, that makes
Tony
you
gets
know,
plus
very,
two
very
in his
happy.
hair. His hair gives him a +2, so he had a 9.
Tony's
And I think Callum Chambers was picked because of the aerial onslaught we were anticipating, and he dealt pretty well with everything, and all of his stats look pretty good. I know a lot of the fan base are complaining about him, but he is what you're going to say a good squad player. We're going to need players like that. We need to change we need 3 or 4 first teamers to be squad players. Gary?
Yep. I mean, I don't know. I guess everybody forgot about Leno saving us the point, because you take Leno, if that was a different goalkeeper in there, I don't know. He made some really good stops in that second half when they started getting opportunities. I mean, we had the one-on-one. They had a couple of, So for me, it was Leno. I think everybody had an ups and downs in this game. I mean, I would have probably given it to Erdegaard if he didn't get pulled, and that's kind of Arteta's fault for taking him out too soon. Because I think, like you said, between Erdegaard and Partey, I feel like we have a really good solid middle there with those two players out there. And Erdegaard is hopefully going to get better, but I'm worried he'll be gone. Partey will be fine. We just need to find him some help. But because you see you see the difference in the play when you look at those two balls coming into the middle deep, and what happens with when you have Partey on it, when you have other players on it. I don't think they got enough time to. Partey, I think it's still not there yet. So, but he's better than what we've got, which is good. So, but I thought Leno, gets Leno gets the nod for me to, in the game. He made a mistake depending on whose eyes you're looking through. But I think everybody had opportunities to kind of like nullify any of their negative plays, and nobody did. Even Aubameyang with the goal. I mean, he made a one goal, but then he disappeared for the rest of the game. Basically, that can't happen. He has to make himself known on the field somehow. So
Especially being the captain.
AD asked us, I think, 4 games ago how many points we could get from 21. I think it was. We're on 7 from the last 4 games. We got 7 points. It's not a bad haul, I think. But the next 3 are pretty vital. Spurs is the big one, and we'll have a little bit of word about the Spurs game. But So far, we have 7 points, and we have Spurs, Liverpool, West Ham next. If we lose all three, we would have 7 points out of 7 games. I think we're going to probably win a couple of those games. I think. Hope. Yeah.
I mean, it's if you're looking at form, if you're looking at form, then there's no way you're winning this game. If you look at the Burnley game and then you look at this one, how do you get 2 wins out of that?
Exactly. That's the thing. If we can't sweep aside a Burnley team like that,
that's great. That's Ray's optimism. With Ray.
Watch this space.
Tell me how this math works. You struggle against Burnley after going up after the first 6 minutes, but then you're going to play a Spurs team who just scored 4, right? You're going to have to play a Liverpool team who, I don't know if this is a home game for us, right? So they don't have a chance of breaking their record against us this week. That weekend maybe. And then you have West Ham, who probably looks at that first game and goes, you know what? No, we got to get our points because we didn't get it the last time. And they probably have the mentality to come out and play like that. I mean, this is going to be a tough time for us. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm going to put my reputation on the line. We win 2 out of these 3.
Wow.
Okay. Ray knows in 10 days when it's St.
2 out of 3 will win. 6 points out of 9.
Oh, man.
And Sam's either frozen or he just is incredulous.
He's just shocked by your optimism.
It's those unicorn Lucky Charms, isn't it? You've obviously been eating a lot of. I don't know what it is, but it's.
Shit them all out on St. Patrick's Day.
Hey, listen, that's what makes our podcast interesting because right from me all the way around to Sam.
You're our comic. Ray, I got to hand it to you. You're our comical Ali. You're Baghdad 2003. The US tanks are rolling in. And you're standing there. We're going to win the war. We win the war. We bigger than America. That's you got to stand up for that. It's good.
Very good. You're going to get to start off the section on the post-game comments, Sam.
The post-game comments, yeah. Both.
And I can use it. It is what it is. With my prediction of 2 wins out of 3, it is what it is.
Well, that's Aubameyang showing that attitude we're talking about, right? It's that it is what it is. We don't really care. I'm going to make 350k a week. What is it? 300k a week. You're just a fan. It's that whole attitude. Why should be captain, right? I mean, it's a terrible attitude really to have. I think it means like, oh well, let's just move on. It is what it is, but. I want to see more from a captain. I want to see someone say this is not good enough. We need to improve. Blah 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 blah. Right? That type of message should be coming out from the captain. Not it is what it is. Oh okay. And from Arteta, okay, it's a whole with the manager. It's always a PR thing, right? He's talking to his players through a PR machine. He has to say the right things to motivate them and blah blah. It's like remember Wenger. You could predict exactly what he was going to say in every press conference because it was always we showed a lot of character. We have character. He would say character about 50 times so that you could tell the players they were doing good. They weren't shit, even though they were shit. So that's the thing with Arteta. He's saying we did very well. Blah blah blah. Did this, did that. Loads of nice fairy tale unicorn stuff, but the reality just doesn't really say the reality, does he? Really, that's the problem. But then he did criticize the referee and VAR, which was good. I thought that was good. He did that, but at the end of the day, we're not getting from the manager. You're never really going to get the real story. You're never going to get that because it's all a PR. It's all a PR stunt. It's a spin machine. But from your captain, if he's going to go out on social media, I want to see something better than that. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Matt, what was your thoughts on Aubameyang? At least first off.
To be honest, Ray, I'm furious about it. I'm really annoyed by that because when you come out of a game playing the way we did, conceding yet more silly mistakes, wasting your chances, and your captain comes out and says, is what it is. That is not good enough. That is not good enough for this club, and that is not good enough for a captain of this club. Absolutely nowhere near. That, to me, is disgraceful. I don't want to hear from an Arsenal player after a game, playing as we are, to come out and say, it is what it is. That is not good enough. And I'm sorry, but it also comes down from Arteta, and Arteta, to me, has to take some of the blame for that, because he said exactly the same in his interview. That feeds down through your captain, through into your players, and guess why they don't put the gas on in the second half? If that's the attitude, it is what it is. If there's no emphasis on when you make mistakes, there's going to be a consequence. I'm sorry, but that tells me a lot about the attitude and the mentality. We come back to the mentality, winners' mentality, all of that kind of stuff, leadership. That tells me a hell of a lot about what's going on in the mindset of these players. And it does come down from Arteta.
Let me ask you this, Matt. You make a mistake at your workplace and you give your direct report, person you report to, he asks you a question and you're like, it is what it is. Is that acceptable?
No. Absolutely not. If I'd made a balls up, and if I was going to my director and my team had completely balled something up yet again, and we've been doing it for the last 6 months. Again, and for the last 6 months, I'd probably be on performance management, or I'd be out the door already. I certainly still wouldn't be captain or a team leader or a departmental leader, but I certainly wouldn't be going up to his office and saying, it is what it is.
True.
Absolutely not. I'll be like, look, I'm really sorry. We appreciate that we are making these mistakes. We're working on it every day. We're working really hard. We appreciate fans, are going through a lot. The team's not doing what we should be doing. It's not translating. That kind of stuff. I want to hear what you're doing about it. That you accept the mistakes. You know what you're doing. Not it is what it is. That's an I don't give a shit comment.
There's so many things that could be said. There's so many things that could be said by the captain. Other than that.
Attitude, that's what it is. Poor attitude and poor mentality. And that's exactly what we've been talking about. And like you say, it comes from the manager. And that is why we are so poor in the first half. We start so many games poorly because it comes from there. It comes from there. We have this environment at Arsenal Football Club where it is what it is. That's what it is.
Gary, that's the response of somebody who has no other answer, no explanation for what happened.
Yes, and I guess that's the answer we get probably from everybody on the team, and especially the way they play. At least the ones that get to talk. I mean, like we said, he's not captain material. I mean, I always go. I mean, I'm gonna pump up your boy, right? Like I said, when I listened to Xhaka talk, it sounded like a captain, and that's Aubameyang doesn't have that.
Even when he talks about us playing scared, I thought he should have lost the captain man.
Yeah, but I mean, it just sounds like a captain to me. Somebody who people will look up to. Are they looking up to how do you look up to Aubameyang after he comes out and says that? We just had this was a terrible loss. We've had 3 of them so far in the last of the 4 losses that we had. We've had 3 terrible losses where points were lost, where you take those those 6 points, those 9 points, and we're talking something totally different. And you need to be able to get those points because those runs don't come too often, those opportunities don't come. And the team Aubameyang should have come out and said, you know what? I scored early in that game, and then I let my team down. I let my team down, right? You always hear that from true captains, right? They come out and they tell you exactly how they feel. And I let my team down, and I didn't get them going where they're supposed to go, right?
Yeah.
I let my team down, right? It's all about me because I'm the captain, right? I'm the face of the team, right? He doesn't do that because he wants to deflect that off of somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Say it's just the way we play, and that's why you look. That's why our fans scream at them so much because they don't. Do they have the heart for this thing? They don't seem to have it, right? It isn't. There's a lot of fun to having that Arsenal shirt in your chest, right? And you got to work hard for it, though. Are you working hard for it? It doesn't seem like it, right?
Do you know? There's been a lot of talk about Manchester City this season. They were sort of on their way out a little bit earlier in the season, and Pep Guardiola's done a great job to bring them back. He's done a great job. For me, he's showing what a good manager is. By adapting the tactics again. He's adapted the tactics again to make them even better when they were sort of, getting found out. He's motivated the players a lot more again. All the success those players have had, and he manages to keep them hungry. That's you got to give it to the guy. But at the same time, he's got players, but their mentality is so hell bent on winning. They want to win every game no matter what. And people are saying around who are in like the Manchester City, in behind the scenes there, they're saying, you see with the players now that Guardiola doesn't have to motivate them. They motivate themselves. That's the level they're at now. Those players, they get each other going before a game. Guardiola doesn't have to stand stand in front of them and get them going. They get each other going. There's a few leaders in that team, and there's a few real winners in that team, and they want to get each other going. And that's the difference, is that mentality.
If you look at that fire that you're talking about, if you only seen, I've seen it probably. I can count like on my hand how many times I've seen it. When Leno got taken out and was screaming at Maupay or whatever. That was one time, right? He's screaming. Guendouzi doing what he does. I mean, it's just we need to control it, but that's what we want. That kind of a fire. You see it with Kieran Tierney going after the Leeds player. Yeah. That's the fire that we're talking about, that we want. It's got to be controlled a little bit, yes, but that's what you want for 90 minutes, right?
The challenge we have is Arteta convincing our players, limited in some aspects, that they are good enough to challenge. They're good enough in one-on-one occasions, taking on the rivalries, and not thinking that we're inferior before we even go out on the pitch, Matt.
Yeah, this attitude comes from the manager down. You talk about Arteta comes into a club with a clear ethos, a clear way of wanting to play. We talked about playing out of the back, having a very clear playing style. It's not just about the football tactics; it's about the mentality and the attitude around the club. Getting that winning mentality back. And the Assemble said, do I think that the players are totally to blame for their attitude? Arteta isn't as straight up guy as he portrayed himself. I absolutely lay some of the fault with Arteta, because that kind of attitude with the comments that came out, Aubameyang's going to think that's okay to say if Arteta's saying it himself in his own interviews. That feeds down from the very top. It's like any company, anything in life, it comes from the top down. You're right. It comes from the top down. And if Arteta's going to be saying it is what is in his interviews, well, guess what? The captain's going to take that lead as well. And then that's going to feed down into the players in the change.
Accountability.
That's where it goes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, real quick, we're going to preview the Olympiakos game and maybe the Spurs game. Gary, want to start us off? What do you want to see on Thursday night? I want to ask you the question as well. Did we pick this lineup against Burnley with one eye on Europa League?
I hope not, because hopefully he needs to think he needs to win every game. So whatever lineup he puts in has to be one to try to win. But also, like you said, if players need to rest, then they need to rest, because that's where we're at right now. We need to be able to rotate, but we also need to. We needed this. This is the one win we had in the next of the 4 games where it's guaranteed 3 points, right? Right. This is the guaranteed 3 points. Everything else is a maybe, right? So if that's the point, then you need to come out and be able to play that way. And you're going to have a longer rest between this game and Olympiakos and whenever we play Spurs. So if you're going to, the players should be fine to play that Spurs game. Maybe they might struggle in the second Olympiakos, but the plan is to go to Greece and come away with multiple away goals, right? That's where we're going. We have to have 2 to 3 away goals at least to go back home and be able to maybe sit on those, because we can't go 1-1 into that game. I mean, they are opportunistic, and if we make mistakes, which I kind of looked at, I think I looked at the last game, they scored 3 goals in like 30 minutes, right? One of them was just a ball flying through the middle of the goal, and everybody on the other team kind of was lax about it, and it rolled almost to the goal. The goalkeeper was able to keep it out, and then they finished it off, right? So if anything, we set up perfectly for them because we will make the silly mistakes, right? And that's the problem I see with the team is that teams that will sit back and know that, you know what, this is the Arsenal, and they will give us that opportunity. We just have to be ready to jump on it when it comes, because it always comes. And you know what? And if you can jump on it early, they will. And then guess what? They will wilt, because now they've just punished themselves. And that's where the leadership will say, no, it doesn't really matter. We're down 1 on the road. It doesn't matter. We're going to get this back, right? And so that's the scary part of this whole thing is, you know, we're talking about the mentality, the leadership, and everything. We see it every game. We see it every game, and it's like you said, it starts from the top. It used to be, we always talked about it starts from stand down, but at some point it's got to stop. Somebody's got to say, no, it doesn't really matter what my manager is telling me. I'm going to make sure at least from here on down there is a message that makes that we're going to win. We're going to want to win. What did I say? Did I say something wrong?
I just want to come in on when you're finished. I just want to come in on that when you're finished.
All right. I think you might have stopped my flow if I had a flow. I don't know, but yeah, but no, I think we need to, like I said, we need to come out of this game with many away goals. We need to push. We should put it away early. Mm-hmm. He needs to be able to pull out Partey, Erdegaard, and be ready for the Spurs game. That should be his mentality. Guys, go in there. Give me 60 minutes. 60 minutes. You're coming out no matter what. So you might as well make it work.
We have a quick turnaround. We have a quick turnaround the next Sunday.
That's what I mean. I don't know how these managers talk to their players, but that should be like, you go in there, give me 60 minutes, put them away early, because we have the talent to do that, right? We have the talent, you know. Hopefully, and the problem I see also is that Saka, Tierney, are still coming back, it seems, from taking a rest. It seems, right, or being uninjured. So I'm hoping they are in form when they go to get to Greece. Partey is still, you know, every game we see him come back, and Erdegaard, they're still kind of feeling the way through this thing. So those 4 players could make the difference if they're anywhere close to where we want them to be. So, but once again, this game should be won by halftime for us. But, you know, and that's got to be the mentality going into it, right?
Yeah,
by halftime, I should be looking at my bench going, you guys should get ready to play, because we're coming at you at some point, right? And the rest of the team should, like, your goal is to get us to that point where I'm pulling you're out, right? I need you to be dead tired by the time I pull you out after 60 minutes, right? Because you've done a lot of work, and we got a lot of good things out of it. So I mean, that's more mentality than anything. So yeah, I expect that. Yeah, from the team.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, we were talking about that, the whole leadership thing, you know, from the top down that Matt talks about, which I agree with completely. That's so much of the culture starts at the top. But then you do have exceptions to the rule where you have a good manager who can actually do a good job because he's good at what he's doing, and he'll get the most out of the players. And I can give you 2 prime examples of that. First of all, this season with David Moyes at West Ham, that ownership is terrible. What they're trying to do at West Ham is terrible. Yep. They've sold players behind the manager's back. Yep. You know, they're so detrimental to the development of that football club. And yet Moyes has managed to get so much out of that West Ham team. I mean, they're close to the top 4 at the moment. I mean, that's how good of a season they're having. So again, it shows you what a good manager can do, you know, to get the most out of a group of players. A second example is Rafa Benitez at Newcastle when he was there. You know, I mean, Mike Ashley's a terrible, terrible owner. You know, he's actively trying to sell the club. He wants to get the most out of selling the club, so he's having a tough time with it. He doesn't want to buy players. He just buys, you know, a few players here and there. And Rafa Benitez comes in there, and he brings up an absolutely rubbish Newcastle team, not just up from the Championship, promoted into the Premier League again, but he brings them up to halfway. I mean, they were expected to go straight down again. We managed to finish, you know, mid-table, which was a spectacular achievement for what they were. You know, so you know the manager actually has a lot to say. That's why I want to say with that whole argument. Well, Arteta has these players. You know, they are a challenge. Yes, but if Arteta's made of the type of metal and the type of ability that people seem to think he is, and what, you know, his whole aura and his whole reputation is about, then he needs to, he needs to be showing a hell of a lot more than what he's showing now. That's what he needs to do.
Tony, Olympiakos on Thursday. Valbuena, Jan and Villa, linked to Arsenal for many, many seasons. Of course, we know about Socrates. He played. They played today. They won 3-0, but really we should treat this team with respect because they dumped us out last season, and if we treat them with respect, we will play the kind of game that Gary wants us to play, and we will take care of them in the first leg.
Yeah, I want to see us go back to what we've seen that works with Pepe on the left, Lacazette down the middle, Saka on the right, either Odegaard or Smith Rowe.
It does seem like Arteta's gone away from that a little bit, Tony. Though he's gone to trying to make Aubameyang work through the middle.
Yeah, but how many points have we gained because of it? Not very many.
We were lucky enough to get through the last tie, and we need to put our best foot forward. I'm very happy it's Olympiakos because that should sharpen the minds, Tony, of the players for Thursday.
Is that your leg pun?
No. Did I put something in there?
Best foot forward.
Best foot forward. It is a leg pun, man. We'll use it. Listen, if you've been watching this channel and you don't know about Tony's GoFundMe page, please check it out. I will leave the link in the description. If you can donate, that would be brilliant. We had a couple of donations on Thursday night, which was great. So let's try and get them to the total he needs. Anything else, Tony? And then I'll go to Matt.
This should be the type of games where we can field our fringe players, but absolutely everything relies on us winning this game, and we got to win Europa to be in Europe next season. There's no way we're going to finish in the top 6. So.
With a normal league game, I would ask the question: should we favor the Europa League tie, Matt, over the Spurs game? But it's absolutely vital that we treat the Spurs game as well.
100%. Derby, am I prioritising anything over that? No chance. No. I want to go and smash the life out of them when we go and play them. I want to see massive improvements. I want to see us beaten like anybody else does. There's absolutely no way I'm prioritising any game over that game. But having said that, you're right. The Olympiakos game isn't going to be an easy walkover. Like I say, we've got enough, or we should absolutely have enough motivation to go into that game in. They shouldn't need any firing up going into that game because exactly last year. So I would expect us to be going out and really sticking a performance in, a really good solid performance. Like Gary says, we should be comfortably up first half, 2 or 3 goals and looking really solid for the second half, and then putting a few people off to rest for the Spurs game. I don't want to see us giving away silly mistakes, really struggling through the game, ambling and being really pedestrian, playing at snail pace. I want to go out and see a really solid performance.
Exactly, Matt. Let's not do what we did against Benfica. Give them the benefit of some gifts, and we had to fight for everything we got.
Yeah, there's still some dangerous teams in this competition. I know people say it's like Farmers League, all of this nonsense. There are some good sides still in this competition. And if we're going to play the way we did against Benfica, we're not going to have much of a chance of getting past, beyond this point of past Olympiakos. So if we're going to really seriously think about winning this, we've got to step up 3-4 gears from where we are now. So this performance against Olympiakos sets the tone for whether we're serious about winning this competition. For me, I think that performance will tell us whether we're actually really serious about this competition or not.
Got to finish up a couple of things here before we go. We always try to answer questions. I'll start with Sam and go around counterclockwise. Balogun's agent, according to rumors, wants the same as Saka. Is it possible Arsenal are underpaying Saka? I think there's £10,000 a week in difference. 40,000 Balogun wants to 30,000 Saka's getting.
I thought Saka was supposed to get 40 last year.
Yeah, I think Saka's on 40 now, and that was his contract, and that's what Balogun wants, according to his agent, or that's probably what the agent's trying to get him. It's a terrible situation. Balogun should be. Of course, Balogun, he's probably on a some kind of decent youth or young players contract, probably making decent money. But of course, he wants to make proper. He wants a pro contract. Wants to make proper money. But you got to be realistic with these things. I mean, the guy's played 2 games in the Europa League. Yes, he shows a lot of promise, but you can't have played that little and expect the same as Saka, who's our star player at the moment, who also had his first pro contract, and that's where he's starting off at, which is it's a reasonable and sensible level to start at 40k. This is his first proper contract. His next contract will probably be a lot more, hopefully, if he continues to improve. But for Balogun, he's done next to nothing. Yes, he's a big talent. The little we've seen from him is promising, but you can't go from that to the same level as Saka. That's just ridiculous. That is just ridiculous. So he's got to be at a level below Saka. You know, that's what they've got to figure out, and that's what they're struggling at the moment, is figuring out what to pay him. And you know, the thing is, it seems like Balogun's having the same struggle with other teams as well, because he's still here. I mean, the thing is, he hasn't signed. He could easily sign a pre-contract with any other club, and he hasn't. So to me, that shows he's willing to stay here and be here, but he just has to sort himself out and say, listen, you know, I want to be here and play for Arsenal. He's going to get a chance now because Nketiah seems to be struggling a bit and maybe going a bit down the pecking order now. Lacazette's most likely gonna be sold. Or Aubameyang's form is, God knows where his form is. So Balogun, if he uses his head now and he's a bit sensible, he might get a chance. You know, so I just don't see this whole. He needs to sort his head out. These youngsters need to get their head back in reality and away from these fantasy ideas of making, you know, stupid money. You know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. He needs to be able to have the clarity, Tony, to see a year or 2 from now, Aubameyang's not around at Arsenal, and he could be that player 2 years from now, Tony.
He needs to go prove himself like Saka did, making $3K a week last year. You didn't see him complaining. He signed a contract. I was afraid he wasn't going to get extended, but we finally got that done. Took a little longer than we'd hoped, but Balogun needs to go out there and prove it on the field. He hasn't really played for us. I don't know why he hasn't got more starts or playing time. That's kind of a different story, but to go out and demand.
If we go into that, it's going to take another 20, 25 minutes, so we want to kind of wrap it up for 2.5 hours right now.
Yeah, but it's kind of ludicrous to demand 40K when you haven't done out and proven anything for a first team at all.
And basically, you have to have the agreements of 3 parties: the player himself, the club, and the agent as well, and stuff like that, and his advisors. Gary, what's your thoughts on that? Should Balogun be thought about in the same level as Saka, who has proved himself the last 2 years?
No, I mean, but the one thing he should be looking at is he should be looking at Saka and Emil Rowe as examples of to how this thing works. Both of them came through totally different situations, right? Emil Rowe went out and got his experience and came back and was able to utilize it. Saka has just improved every year he's been out there. He's hurt himself to some degree because now he's not been able to get the game time that he needs because for whatever reason he's not playing much U23s. But he would have, I'll be hard pressed to believe that if they had signed him, he wouldn't be playing a lot more for Arsenal first team, at least coming off the bench or playing spot duty or something like that. Because there's something in there, or he would have been loaned out or whatever the case may be. But you just look at some of your 2 peers, man. There's 2 peers on the team that, as long as we're concerned, will be with us for the rest of their careers if we can make it work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just look at as an example right there in front of your face. I mean, I always go back to Arsenal created this mess. He has the control now, and that they can't get through to the player enough to make sure that no matter what the agent tells you, we're the only team that's going to get you there anyways. You go somewhere else, they got it. We've been working with you for years now.
Start all
right?
over. You got to prove yourself.
We've been working with you for years now. We've got loyalty to you. We want to put money in your pocket. You're not worth that much. You're not Saka level. You're not even a Middlesbrough Row level, right? You're not there yet. And
Yeah.
Kedia has more experience and plays much better play when he's playing for the U21s or whatever. So no, there's a lot of things going against you, but we're the one team that's going to get you there, and that's how you should. I mean, this is a sell. They're not selling, and that's probably why they're in this situation. They haven't sold him on the process, the program that they have for him to get him to where he needs to go. He doesn't believe them. And there probably are many reasons why he doesn't believe them. But Saka and Middlesbrough Row are definitely reasons to believe that, you know what, we've done it. We've done those players well, and we'll do you just as well, just as good as well. So,
I look at the track record of Arteta convincing players to come in. He convinced Gabriel, he convinced Partey, different situations. He convinced the young players to sign Saka. He's got a good track record of convincing these players. We haven't lost one yet. Now, I think we may lose this one because he's being principally advised incorrectly, in my opinion. But that's just going to happen. If you have a player that doesn't have the right attitude, let him go. And right now, to the Assemble's point here, the difference between Granit Xhaka and Saka is age. And like it or not, Granit Xhaka has built his profile through different leagues. He's with Mönchengladbach. He's come here and he's getting paid better because he's got more money. Saka can get there as he goes through his career. He's going to get better contracts. And you get towards the end of your career, you're going to get the big money, like Aubameyang and Ozil before. Matt, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I think, like the guys have said, I think Balogun, he seems to have a bit of an attitude problem. But I think some of this stems from his agent. Let his football do the talking, not his agent. I think we've got agents, as we know, we have far too much kind of influence on players. And I think this is where some of the problem is. I think his agent's whispering in his ear, going, you need to get a bit more money, put more pressure. I'm not sure whether the player believes that himself. I think he's probably being pressured into this a little bit by his agent. He just needs to get his head down, focus, let his football do the talking. As the guys have said, look at the likes of Saka, Emil Smith-Rowe. They're getting opportunities, a lot of opportunities, and they're playing very well. If he gets his head down, he'll get the same opportunities. He'll play. Aubameyang isn't exactly setting the world alight. Neither's Lacazette. So there's an opportunity there for him to get in the squad and get a few games and prove himself. He just needs to get his head down and focus on his football. And like you say, Saka, even if he is only on a little bit more than what's being offered, that won't last for long because he will be on a better contract, because otherwise other clubs will be sweeping around and his head will get turned. So no doubt about it, his wage will increase, I'd imagine, fairly significantly.
And it's really important. We've talked about this before. The team has to grow with the young players, and we got to give these young players success. And it's just how we go about it. But Sam, let's go around and we say our final goodbyes to everybody. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I want to thank Mahir and the four of you for joining as well today. Sam, overall, your thoughts? Disappointing. A game we could have won very, very fine margins and went against us yesterday. And how did the therapy session go for you the last 2.5 hours here?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good discussion. Always have a good discussion here with you lads. That's why I like coming on here. We have a good, healthy debate, and it's always good. We're allowed to have different viewpoints. We all have the same goal, and that is Arsenal. We want Arsenal to be good again and win again, and we just got different viewpoints on how that's going to happen. And that's what makes it interesting. If everyone said and thought exactly the same thing, it would be really boring, wouldn't it? So that's good. We've got 4 games now in 9 days, which I think is a lot. While we're seeing a lot of the different rotation happening now, he's got to look at his management now, see who he can keep healthy, play the most without burning them out or getting them injured. 4 games in 9 days is a big ask. Especially when 2 of those are so important with the Olympiakos games. They're really season-defining games. And, of course, a Spurs game as well. Of course, that's a big, big game for us. So we need to be up for these games and give our absolute best. I hope we do it. Of course, I always hope we do it. You know, we need to put our best in and win these games. I hope we do. And we just got to see what happens now. And just want to say thanks for having me again. And it's nice to see everyone in the chat. It's been great as always. All the regulars in the chat. And let's see what we can get out of the Olympiakos game. We definitely need to win it. Get those goals, away goals, and get through it in the home tie a week later.
Want to give a shout out to Albert as well. Albert, I've got to get you on the podcast one day as well. A big shout out to Ray, Sam, and Gary.
Big up, Albert.
Definitely, Albert. I'd love to get you on one time. Let me know. Tony, how you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. Hanging in here.
Has this therapy session helped you get over Arsenal and everything else that's going on a little bit for a couple hours?
It is a nice distraction, but still the team ain't good enough. Want to see more from them.
Yep.
I don't see any draw that's felt more than a loss than this in a long time. It just feels like we've totally lost 3 points instead of lost 2.
Definitely feels like we lost 2, and I think somebody talked about it as a loss. And we actually did get 1 point, but it does feel like a loss. Gary said a loss. It does feel that way, Gary. Definitely. December says 25,000 plus add-ons. We get Balogun. I think it's part of negotiating, and we're going to meet somewhere. They're going to meet somewhere in the middle with Balogun, I believe. Gary, 2.5 hours, 2 hours 40.
Yeah, thank you for everyone in the chats. Thank you for the panel, Ray, Matt, Sam, Tony, and Mahir. Yeah, I stumbled there. But yeah, good being on. We have our chats offline.
Nice to see you too, Gary.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I fumbled on I will mumble once in a while, so sorry about that. But it's good getting this off your chest, right? And we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow because there always seems to be some drama. So, what will tomorrow bring for Arsenal?
Monday.
Because it's Monday. Something new's got to come up that we haven't thought of yet. There's always something new.
Yeah.
So
I remember. I think it was last week. I was like, "Well, things are going to be quiet till like Thursday or whatever." Or there's no game on Thursday. Things are got to be quiet, and something happened last Monday. I can't remember.
Yeah. No, there's always something for us. So they're keeping us entertained. So hopefully everybody enjoyed the show. We'll be back doing this again on Thursday. Hopefully after a win, a big win. I'll take a 4-4 win if it gets, because I'll take the 4 away goals, and I think we can use those in the next game. Right. So
shout out your latest video, Gary.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, for those that don't know, I do have a little channel. Please take a look at it. I take a look at 5 players. I just pick 5 random players and kind of talk about them based on what I've seen in the game. And I do a little. I'll review the game as well, and then give my thoughts on that with the game. So check it out. But yeah, no, I think Thursday's Burnley was the first. Was the last big game. Now we've got another big game coming up. So, but every game is a big game, right? Because the Spurs game on the weekend will be our next big game. We just have big games for the rest of the season. And one of the stats that I saw, which was interesting, is that 6 of the bottom 8 in the league we play.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you, Warren. 6 out of the bottom 8 we play. We play them. And right. Here we go. We've got 13 minutes before it's a problem, right? So I'll go in for like another 5. Sam will cut in, and then you know what? We'll hit that mark. But like I said, we've got 6 teams that we're playing. They're in the bottom 8. Those should be wins, right? Those should be wins, but they're not, because we're like, damn, we are struggling right now to get consistent with our play. So hopefully this is the next game for us to get that continuity back and that consistency back, and hopefully we get it. Sorry about that. But that's my say. Sorry.
Gary's initial thoughts.
Gary's initial
Gary, we love banter here, and you're just giving Tony the ammunition right there.
I try.
You actually know he couldn't type that fast enough because he dropped the F.
I know, yeah, exactly. He's like, I gotta get this out before Gary says bye.
Tony, stop dropping the F, will you? Drop the F. Matt, your
Clean it
final
up.
thoughts.
No mics. Mics for referees.
Gets a little bit rowdy around here, Matt, but really, thanks for joining us tonight as well.
No, thank you. The pleasure's all mine. It's always great to come on. It's a great show, great channel, great panel. Really enjoy all of your content, and I love coming on these shows. It has been very therapeutic tonight. I think lots of the guys in the comments have been great as well. And I think the fact that we've been on for 2 hours 49 says that we've had a really good chat today, and we've had a lot of therapy. So it's done us the world of good. So thank you very much. But I think the best therapy will be going and smashing Olympiakos and then smashing Spurs. That's the therapy I want.
W's are the best therapy. It took me a couple of rewrites to set the agenda. I knew it would be a packed show. We're going to try and dial it back from over 2 hours here. We're going to try and get it down to 2 hours again, Tony. Let's see if we can do that. Yeah, thanks, everyone. We need to get some wins. Let's grab some wins, Sam. And we're going to have that debate in the next week or so, Sam. So sharpen your pencil. Until then,
get your Lucky Charms ready.
Until then, we're out of here. Come on, you Gunners, up the Arsenal. We will win 2 out of the next 3 league games. You heard it here first.